And we're live.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Happy
So
days. Right, let's
here
hit
we
that
are,
button.
fingers crossed. Does not freeze with the guest.
Well,
And today I am joined by Ven from Ven's Book Corner.
hello.
And thank you for
Ha-
joining me.
It's an absolute pleasure to join you. It really is. This is only the second channel I've been on that isn't mine.
Oh, cool.
The other one being obviously Noah's, because I'm always on his channel for one
Nice.
reason or another. But yeah, it's an absolute joy. I mean, we've been talking before the thing anyway, so
We have, and it's
yeah,
been wonderful. That's
yeah.
the one thing I do love about this is you can talk to people from all over the world, and it's not long distance charges, and you get
No,
to learn about not just other books and common interests, but about other countries and
well,
how
that's
things are happening.
That's the thing with a lot of the books, because obviously UK. I'm from the UK. For anyone who doesn't know, um, and can't tell by my accent. And when I read a lot, especially like the biographies and stuff from other countries, US is a good example of this. Even though the cultures on the surface look quite similar,
Mm,
there's that many sort of really narrow or ill-defined differences. Like the school system is the easy example for this. And I'll be sat there reading it, going, "This doesn't make sense to me at
yeah.
all," because like I don't know what, because you're in Canada, aren't you? I'm sorry, you're
Yes.
Canada. Yeah.
Yes.
See,
Not
geography.
different
So
than
yeah.
America. And I have
So
wonderful
yeah.
American friends, but we're two different countries. Hello,
so
Andrew.
so I don't know what the school system's like there,
Mm,
but over here, like when I was speaking to I think again it was Kat actually, and we were talking about the schooling system, and I think she was probably reading Heartstopper. Someone was reading Heartstopper anyway, and the school system through them, because over here you literally have primary school, high school, job. Like that's how
mm.
it works. That you don't have as many layers of separation, and then when you start looking at the way the school system works, it is so different,
Now,
so different.
do you still have O and A levels?
So they have changed them now, like they change everything. So they're still, I think they're still called GCSEs in England specifically. It's
Mm,
different in Scotland because, of course, it is. They have a completely different everything, and it's better than ours.
mm,
But they changed the last between when I went to school and when my eldest went. They've changed like the whole grading system now. So it used to be a nice,
mm.
straightforward A star to fail was
Right.
how it used to go. Now it's, I think, a 1-1 is the worst you can get, and the higher the number is better. I don't, and it's graded within the number system just to confuse you.
Mm,
But then what they've started to do is mix in vocational studies in that, which I think is a better idea, really, in the grand scheme of things, because it's more focused. And then now, it used to be when you hit 16, when you finished high school, you would either go into either a job, an apprenticeship, or go to college
mm.
um, for 2 years and do A levels, which is what I did. And now you have to stay in some form of education until you're 18 by law. They've changed it. So you've either got to go
Mm.
vocational or college, is the way they've changed it now. And then after college, then you have
Wow.
university and so on and so forth. So that's only been in the last 10 years, I think that's changed.
Now, is
Um,
college free then?
yes, you don't pay for. So what, when I hear college, I think of the UK version. In
Mm,
To use, I'm not sure what Canada's like. So, but to use the US equivalent, what they call college, we call university. So
mm.
bizarrely, so college is kind of school plus, but it's only ever for 2 years. It's only a 2-year course, and generally speaking, you'll do so many courses in year one, which will be like
Mm.
half courses, and then you'll carry on, as I understand it, into year two, only a couple of those to be more specialized. Normally, with the idea of going to university, generally speaking, if you go to college, you're looking at university, whereas if you do an apprenticeship, you're looking at then going into a trade like building
Mm.
or something like that. So
Yep.
it's a more focused system. Does it work? No, but
Mm.
that's I I think that's the curse of education systems now. I don't think they've caught up to the world because technology's moved ahead so far, and governments are behind it, unfortunately, as is nature.
Well, and ours
But
here is a mess. Like to call it broken is being
yeah,
kind. But our system here in Canada, you have your elementary school, so you have your kindergarten to grade 8, and then from there you go on to high school. Now, when I went, that was from grade 9 to 13. If you
grade
went,
what?
yep,
Sorry, what age is grade 9? Just
usually about 13, 14.
oh right. Oh, that's okay. That's older than ours then. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you go, like I say, right up to grade 8. So I mean, it depends on the student when you've started kindergarten and that 4.5 or 5, where your birthday falls. Because our schools run September to June. And then you do high school. Now, grade 12, when I was going, was usually people who were either going on to college or going to work.
Yeah.
Grade 13 was typically the students who were looking at university. But then they did away with grade 13 several years ago. And it's ridiculous because it's gone. You have people who are too young to go to university, but they're done high school. So they go back for another year called a victory lap, which is
Really?
nonsense. Yeah, but it's ridiculous because they end up taking a seat in a classroom for a kid who's waiting to graduate.
Oh, that seems like a daft system.
It is. So, you have that. And then now, this past school year was the first. They've started what's called de-streaming. So instead of having applied courses, which is you're getting your high school diploma going to
Yeah.
work versus your academics preparing for college or university. Well, now some genius decided, well, we shouldn't have any of that because it's just not right. And
Mm,
so now they've started eliminating that as of grade 9. So they're just going to all go through doing who knows what. But the big difference here is they can be in high school until they're 21.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Wow.
so the way the system works here, you do have like our version of kindergarten is probably nursery, which is up to 4 years old. You can actually start out at 2, depending on
Mm,
funding stuff.
yeah.
Then you have 1 year in what's called reception, which is normally in your primary school.
Mm,
And then you have primary school years 1 to 6. So primary school runs from the age of 5 to 11.
mm.
And then you go to high school, which is a different building, and that's 11 to 16. And what I find fascinating, and again, I don't know a huge amount about the Canadian system, so
That's
versus
okay.
a lot of this is based versus the American system. I was watching a video quite recently, actually, and the way we don't graduate from school, it's the idea of this. It's like the idea of a school prom, as another example,
Mm,
never a thing when I was at school. It's become a thing in the last 10 years, but it was never even a consideration. You didn't graduate, you didn't have an award. You had like an award ceremony, but it'd be like,
yeah.
the top person in each subject, and that was it. But it's like they have like the electives, and it feels like they can pick certain aspects of certain subjects, whereas here you do your core subjects all the way through. You don't get any choice in what
Mm,
you do of them. So English language, maths, science, you have to do all those, and don't get any choice in what you do in them. So you do
mm,
all the sciences, and you do it every year. So you end up doing a bit and then coming back and doing a bit more in a certain section afterwards.
mm.
Um, and then you only get 2 or 3 choices or electives, and they are, again, they're not modular like it feels like they are in the US, where
Yeah.
you pick history and that's it. You're doing history. So like when I did it, because I did history at school and at college, I did a year of the history of medicine and then a whole year on I don't even remember what the second part of it was. Most of it was the history of medicine. I think
Mm.
it was probably the war. It generally is in the UK what you'll do. do on. But there wasn't any, you can do this module and this module and this module to get your credits to then graduate. It's
Right.
you do history, you do exam, and they then, the biggest problem with the exam system here is they'll fail you for stupid things. So, hey, Noah, you all right?
Noah.
So one of an example I saw recently. So if you're given like a multiple choice question, A, B, C, D, and generally speaking, if you know what the answer, you'll just put whatever mark you want next to it. Fine. Over here, if it says you circle the right answer and you don't circle it, you fail.
Yeah.
Because you're not following instructions, because the school system here is more about forcing you into like uniformity in a lot of ways. Yeah. Which is why we're not a very revolutionary country, really, no matter what seems to happen here. It takes quite a lot for us to put our teacups down and get angry. Yeah. It really does. But it's fascinating. I would tear the school system to bits. I really would. I mean, it's what, 25 years? Well, 25 years since I left school, 23 years since I left college. So
you're a puppy.
Doesn't feel like it when people start talking to me in a language I don't understand, which is apparently still English. And it's like, what are you saying? What words are these? I don't understand. But
well, see, and Andrew, and I popped up here, so he's also sharing that when he was at school over 40 years ago. Yep, me too.
Yeah.
Hey, Jen. He was saying nursery school, primary school, and secondary school.
Yeah. So quite often you'll class reception as part of primary because it's in the same school and it's generally the same class that runs through.
Yeah.
It's
say hey to Noah.
Yeah. And Jenny's here as well.
And Jenny's
I'm the young
here.
one. Isn't Jenny younger than you, Noah? So Jenny is Noah's other half.
Oh, nice.
And unfortunately for her, she's going to punch me for this. I have known her since she was a wee baby. So I've known her. I've known her a long. You're the small one, Noah. I've known her a long time. So
second youngest.
Yeah. So.
Well, look at this already. My most biggest popular live stream. Thank you so much, Fen.
I'm hoping I've chucked it in a couple of our Discord groups. In fact, Noah, do us a favor, go share the love, will you?
Well, this is lovely. I appreciate everyone in here.
No, it's like I say, it's an absolute. I know I only came across you quite recently. I think it was in Kat's live stream we ended up talking.
It was a few weeks ago when we were doing, well, maybe a month or so ago now, but the one book sprints.
Yeah, and we got talking after that. I think I dropped in on I think the next one was that one where you had the really bad storm, actually.
Yeah.
And we were talking about quite a few different things, and it's like, yeah, this is cool. I like this. I like talking to people. I don't talk to real people. I talk to people online and nothing else.
Well, see, and this is nice for me because I'm actually talking to another person.
Yeah.
And typically, I mean, a while ago, I had done a live stream with Renee from Beyond Books, but mostly my lives have just been me babbling about books, which is what I find hilarious, that I was actually getting views and hours.
Yeah.
But what I found out is people were listening to me at work or driving to and from work. So they were team rewatch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I've become the radio of 2024. That's awesome.
The other thing which YouTube have not spoken about very much, because YouTube is terrible at communication, is they have like the podcast feature now.
Yeah, I've seen that, but
so I've tweaked it a couple of times, so you can actually mark your videos as podcast. And I don't know exactly how it works. I think it takes it over to Google Podcasts, possibly. I'm not sure. I have used it before, but I shut it down about a year ago. And I think that allows certain videos to just be played when locked, when the screens are locked and stuff, I think. And it alters the search parameters a little bit as well, because some people just want to listen to stuff. Because, people like to have stuff going on in the background, be it music or podcasts or audio books or whatever. So something I need to look at again at some point. I know me and Noah did a few podcasts that were chaotic messes They really were. They're not up anymore. I still have them, but they're not up anymore. But they were nearly as chaotic as our discussion earlier today.
But it's
So
that I find it's that whole learning curve part as well. And I mean, I look back at the videos, and maybe we'll start going through some of the questions here
yeah.
too. But I know when I look back at my videos from 2.5 years ago, I'm like, I mean, I didn't think they were spectacular to begin with because one, I hate being in front of a camera. So if I'd
Yeah.
known how to do this
Yeah.
without being here, I would never have appeared in front of a camera, but I didn't have the editing skills. And you can certainly tell in the beginning when Lord Lou, I was trying to use video editor. And if I'd stuck with that, I would have quit.
The video editor, if it's the basic one, it's fine
Ugh,
until
it's
you
a
try and do
nightmare.
something. Until you try and do something with it. This is I don't even know what it is I use now. It begins with an M. I picked it up cheap at some point. Well, I say
Nice.
cheap. But this is my third or fourth different set of editing software. I tend to burn through it quite quick and then get annoyed at it and change it. But the one I used before this was a yearly subscription. So I got it cheap for a year. And it was great. It gave me access to things like Shutterstock, which is your copyright images, and it gave
Yep.
full access to the library and the music library and the videos, which was great.
Mm.
But then it went up for the second year to like £92 or something. It's like, I am not paying that when I can find free stuff online.
Yeah.
Whereas the one I use now, I think I managed to get it for like 25 quid. It's normally more than that. And that's just license. They update it every year.
Nice.
So if you want the updated version, you have to pay them again,
Right.
which I have not done. But it's funny you should mention about being on camera because I hate being on camera. Like,
And yet here we are.
Yeah. Well, when I started on, I mean, I do not go back and look at my videos. In fact, I don't. So when I don't do my videos like most people do, I don't think. So I do it almost like television where I'll do takes. So I'll do a take, and if I don't like it, I'll delete it and do it again. I'll keep doing it till I'm happy with it, even though I'm not scripted or anything.
Yeah.
And then I'll just get all the takes I want, drop them in the editing software, drop transitions in, send, done. That is my editing. Whereas I think Noah, from experience, continuously records and then spends far too long going through and going, nope, I forgot English, nope, all the way through. But when I first started, I used images instead and just voiceover, and the voice quality was terrible, like really bad. And then I figured out how to create a virtual avatar, quite a basic one, which should motion track. So up until probably about a year ago, I wasn't on camera. It was like a virtual computer avatar thing, or VTuber as they're better known as. And for a long time, my plan was to actually, because you can pay people to actually make these models for you. It's beyond me. Was to actually pay someone to make and rig the model, make a model for me, give them ideas, get them to design it, probably slightly more anime based than mine was, and go from there.
Yeah.
And then one day I just did a video on camera, and other than one exception, I've stayed on camera since. And that exception was I was ill and didn't want anyone to see what I looked like at the time. I think that was over Christmas. It was a return of the VTuber episode. But it helped me get over that little hump because I don't have a huge amount of self-confidence. It doesn't come across when I'm talking like now, because this is quite well practiced in a lot of ways at this point. But generally speaking, I'm very quiet and mousy in a corner, and I don't like to speak up. Noah's going to argue with this in a minute. And I also suffer a level of imposter syndrome. So whenever I've made something, I never think it's good enough. So I never go back and rewatch it because then I'll start judging. So generally speaking, I'll wait for someone to go, you muck the audio up, and then I'll go in and fix it and do it afterwards after someone's pointed it out to me, which has happened a few times. But I've been doing this now, what, December 22, I think I did my first video. And that was Noah's fault.
That
as
was
well.
Noah's fault.
That was Noah's fault.
No, it
Streaming
was, go
anything
ahead.
online that I do is Noah's fault, just to be clear. So
Well,
so
first, let's catch up on the comments, and then we'll get to some of the questions. So Diane's sharing about interesting school system and that it's very different in the States.
it's very different. Very, very, very different.
And we have Noah. This was back to you don't I can't confirm.
What? Oh, is that for notes? Is that for my deranged approach to making things?
Yeah, it could be. And see, Jenna's saying how comfortable you seem.
It's a lie.
And I agree with Diane. Editing is the hardest part. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say you could never be on camera because that's what I said up until some years ago. And when Van, you were talking, when I first started, and I started in a room downstairs and the setup was entirely different, but I did what you did. I would record something, I didn't like it, stop, start again, start. It would take me 3 freaking hours to do one video.
Yeah.
And then I still needed to edit it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because I do it in it's when I do my reviews, because this is the easy way, I deliberately split them up into the little sections now, so that I'll just keep going and going. And generally speaking, it will only take me a couple of attempts now to get it not necessarily right, but a point where I don't want to set fire to things,
Yeah.
like Noah's Kitchen. He'll get that reference in a minute. He'll be very upset with me.
Well, this is when he's commenting about you blaming him for being on anything with tech.
Yeah, well, we've sort of bounced over the how long you've been on BookTube. So it was November 22 that I started.
Why are you blaming him for everything?
Well, because it's his fault. No, but I actually started. So I've had YouTube for years, but I've never really. I felt uncomfortable ever commenting on videos. Commenting on videos is a very recent thing for me. I would never do it. I'd like videos that I liked, but I would never comment. And then, because of Noah, it is your fault. Part of because I was suffering like incredibly low self-confidence, and I was at the point where I need to do something to push myself out of the bubble.
Yep.
And I've always been, and I've just come out of therapy, so I can say this quite happily now. I've put loads of roadblocks in there, and what I was saying quite recently was I used to be at a point where when I'd get to the top, I'd just jump and see what happens, and I wanted to get back to that point. And that was what YouTube was for me. It was like I feel really low and lacking self-confidence. And Noah suggested me streaming. And it was originally video games. I can't remember what game it was originally, or recording video games, not streaming. And then we were talking about a book which is terrible called The Troop. It's not really terrible, but which is a horror book with like body horror elements. And Noah absolutely loves it, adores it. Wouldn't say he thinks it's the best book ever, but he's not far off. And we were talking about some other book. He said, "Well, why don't you read it?" Because I'd fallen out of reading for whatever reason. Because I go through phases where I'll either game or I'll pick a sort of medium and then I'll just do that.
Yep.
I'll like hyperfixate. And for the last 2 years, it's been books very heavily. So he said, "Well, I'd love to know what you think." So I bought the book of him, read it, hated it. But I was talking to him about it. I was explaining like, this is where my issues are. And he's like, "Well, you should make a video." And it's like, well, you know, I know Noah. And so I ended up making this video and talking about what the issues were, or what my issues were with the book. And then he lent me another book, which is not too far from me, actually, called, God, what's it called? Beneath the Rising by Premier Mohammed, which is a sci-fi Lovecraftian thing. And he got to page 100 and gave up on it. I've read the whole trilogy now. So it was another book that we disagreed with. So we carried on talking. And then I split the 2 channels off because I thought, well, I'll have a gaming channel. I've got a Twitch channel and I'll have my books channel.
Yeah.
And the idea was to just do book stuff every couple of weeks, maybe once a month. It was like the side thing. And over time, the book things become more of a thing. And I've
Mm.
read more and more books. And this year has just been ridiculous for books, to be honest. And I've hit loads of points where it's been like, oh, what am I doing this for? You know, the analytics, which we spoke
Mm.
about off air, about looking at the numbers and how depressing they can be sometimes.
Yeah.
But I still, because I'm quite, I like numbers. Like, I
Oh,
like
see, I
looking at
hate
numbers and judging.
numbers.
No,
So
I,
when I'm uploading a video, I try not to even look where my subs are at, or I just get frustrated and go, why am I doing this again? So that's
yeah,
when I go look at my returning viewers and go, that's right, because there's 70 people now coming back to watch.
well, that's the thing. So when I pay, I don't pay a huge amount of attention to numbers, but I look for like a trend.
Yeah.
So, and I'll go through phases. It's like, and it's the algorithm. The algorithm changes that often, and then
Oh, it's
it just nukes you. It's
it's
ridiculous.
crazy.
I'm suffering from it a little bit at the moment, actually, to be honest. And I'll go in and I'll look, and there's times where I've just gone, well, what am I doing wrong? And it's always when I've made something I'm really happy with. Those rare occasions, it's like, yes,
But you
oh,
know
3
what?
people.
And I go through that as well. You know,
Yeah,
you've worked on something and you're really excited about the content. In my case, after I've recorded something, I've seen it 3 times before it goes up
yeah,
because I'm always listening for the words. Did I come across the way I wanted to? Because it's not like this where you can interact, right? So you're
yeah.
hoping the wording is right. And no matter what, you're going to piss somebody off. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
that's just social media. But so I've spent the time recording, all that time editing, and like you with yours as well. And then you put it up, and then it's like, well, what the hell?
yeah. Why did
You
I
know,
spend all that time? And that's how, unfortunately, YouTube sometimes gets you. And it's frustrating. But then again, if you're doing it for the numbers, it's the wrong reason to be in it, I think. Because
exactly.
you ain't gonna get YouTube famous, probably, unless something miraculous happens. And why
Yeah.
would you want to be? More to the point, to be honest.
Well, and
Um,
the thing is, you can't, there is, and Kat and I were talking about this through one of her lives a while back. I think it was one night when she and I were just doing the reading sprint, and there's no rhyme or reason.
no,
And I mean, Kat and I have been on about the same amount of time, and she's now over 600 subs.
yeah,
I just made it over 200, and I wouldn't even be there if not for you and Book Chat with Pat,
yeah. Pat is
because I was
amazing.
still,
Pat got me
tippy-toeing.
over my 100 and well, was it 150? I think it was 150 because I had
Nice.
like a period from probably the end of November when I started my Read What Your Own challenge up until like the middle of February.
Mm.
Nothing. Didn't get, if I gained a sub, I'd lose a sub, which bizarrely seems to happen every time we upload a video now. But hey ho.
Yep.
Bizarre nature of YouTube. But there we go. That is something that is a thing apparently at the moment, from what a few people have said. And I'd done a video and started to see a little bit of creep, and it's like, oh, okay. And then Pat put it on, it's like dink, 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 dink. And like a year previously, MJ, obviously, reading this live,
Yep.
who is so supportive of small booktubers as well. I suddenly had one day where I just had this sudden spike, and it's like, what's this? Why have I got a? And MJ had mentioned me on the Support Small Booktube channel because I'd done
Oh,
a
nice.
video. Yeah, I'd done a video on Psychic Teenage Bloodbath, which is a splatterpunk horror, which not my sort of book,
Mm.
but the title and because I cover by because I'm an idiot. The title and the cover sort of spoke to me, and it was only like 180 pages maybe,
Mm.
and it was gruesome. I've recently read the second one. That's this weekend's video actually, which was terrible. Never reading another one again, but But she
And
loves
now
that
you
book.
know.
Yeah, but she loved that book one. So
Mm,
she came across my review because she loved that book, and she shouted me out. Then she shouted me out again a couple of months later.
mm,
And always when I was at the point of, "Ah, I'm not doing this anymore. What's the point?" Always, it's like she knows.
mm,
Um, but that's the thing about the booktube community. It's so wholesome and so supportive as a rule of thumb.
mm.
Um, it's just amazing. It's such a supportive community. It really is,
Oh, I
which is the best
agree.
thing, especially for the internet, because you see the horror stories, don't you, about internet and comments. And I know a few people. In fact, Alan's here from Bad
Yeah.
Books and Classics. I know about a year ago. Well, I don't know if he's still having this issue. I remember him having an issue with some comments and commentators as
Hmm.
well. And I've been lucky. I've only had one, and it was on a video that I expected to have comments on.
Mm.
Um,
Hey,
and
Janie.
hello, everybody. And it was interesting because it was a banned book. It was a challenge book, I should say. Well, you could
Mm.
probably argue that this is a banned book because it's genderqueer, so it's the most challenged book in the US.
Ah.
And when I was doing it, it's like, I'm going to put this up and I'm going to have comments. And I had one. And
Mm.
they said something, and because I like an argument, um, I very politely pushed back and said, "Well, actually, this is what I said. Did you actually watch the video? Because I said this, 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 and this."
Yeah.
And after a few comments, they apologized, which was
Nice.
nice. They said that, well, I've seen this and this and this, and I assumed. I said, that's perfectly fine. I completely understand. This is a hot button topic. People can be quite militant on this,
Mm.
understandably so at times. There are questions about certain things. My point is, this book should be available in schools for the people who need them, not necessarily on the shelves. But we need to look at the education system to foster that sense of feeling comfortable to come forward and talk to people, which is something that we do fail at so often.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, it became this is going to be my last comment. I don't agree with your point of view, but I respect it and the way you put it across. And that was great. But past that,
Yeah.
I've been quite lucky
Excuse me.
so far for one reason. I suppose that's the bonus being small.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
that's, to be honest, I kind of like my teeny little corner of cyber because I haven't had the trolls. Not that
Yeah.
I have any interest in engaging them, but we're going to catch up on comments and we'll carry on with that. So Jenna was telling Noah to take credit that you're
Yes.
not being blamed for you being on there.
No, I blame Noah for some of my reading choices.
And then he
So
says, so just so everyone knows, I didn't set my kitchen on fire. Dodgy wiring and flames happened.
yeah, he had a bit of a disaster, bless him, last week. He turned the
Oh,
way I've been telling it, he turned a light switch on and his fridge exploded. Which isn't
oh.
completely true, but he had a bit of a flat fire.
Well, I hope
Um,
everything's okay.
so it meant
Look
I
at
got
that.
to look
We've
after.
had fires and floods. Noah
Yeah,
had the fire, I had the flood.
yeah. So it's the time of disasters. Take cover. But I got to look after his dog for a night though, so it was fine. I took his dog
Aw.
in for the night. So my cat wasn't happy with that though.
Uh-oh. So Diane's saying, yeah, Twitch is cool for gaming, but glad you decided to do YouTube videos. Your accent is cool. Nice.
This is so I have
We
had
have
that comment.
Alan.
I've had that comment about my accent so many times. I despise my voice. Like
See, and the rest
truly.
of us who don't have that accent love listening to
It's
you.
it baffles me. I remember years ago I went to I was on holiday, I was in California. Was it California? Yeah, it was. I was in it was at like Disney World, Disneyland or something like that. And I
Mm,
remember the woman at one of the kiosks in one of the places going, haven't you got the most English accent? And it's like, now as I've got older, my accent's kind of thickened and become more regional than it
mm.
used to be, which is a very UK thing because you literally 10 miles up the road, totally different to the way I talk. But baffles me. And the amount of people who go, read things, read books to
Yeah.
us, which is why I do now the readings on the channel a little bit more, which
Nice.
do reasonably well, actually, to be fair. So,
Awesome. So we have Janie. Hello.
hello, Janie.
Now, Janie found me through a YouTube recommendation, and
Oh,
I'm so
nice.
excited. She channel, and she has been around BookTube for 10 years.
Wow.
She
That's a
is
long time.
experienced, and she's got a wonderful channel as well with these beautiful crafting journals as well as book hauls and reviews. So, yeah,
So
so nice.
I've got a book haul going up next week. I have not been good. I have not been good at
Uh-oh.
all.
I've managed to behave.
I haven't.
So Alan, yep, I used to engage with a few unkind commenters, but not too many. Yeah, and I mean and actually when I get around to it, I'm going to, and it's in the other room, so I can't show you. I've started oh no, I gotta think of it. Keyboard Warrior journal.
All right.
And it says Keyboard Warrior, and I printed out the emojis and pasted them on the front, and that's where I vent. I can use whatever language I want, I can say whatever I want, and I get nowhere near the keyboard. So
Yeah.
whether it's a life issue or someone just being an asshat, it goes
Yeah.
in there.
Well, I know it was in MJ's Discord a few months back, but there is a setting in the YouTube somewhere
Yep.
on you where you can put keywords into block. I haven't bothered to
Yep.
do that, but because part of me is like, if you comment, that's engagement. I'll just delete it. You can always come back and comment again, then I'll delete it again, and you'll keep giving me engagement. It's fine by me. That drives the algorithm.
See, and that's the thing. As long I figure, and like I say, and I'm touch wood here, thankfully I haven't had that, but I figure as long as they're not being over the top, there isn't a ton of profanity because that would definitely be deleted.
Yeah.
But if it isn't over the top, whatever, then that's engagement with the video, like you say, interaction. So I wouldn't delete it. But yeah, there is in the setting, and you can pick which words you don't want to appear. So if they use those profanities or whatever words, then they don't show up in the comments, which would be
Yeah.
a good thing. And
Yeah.
sometimes I figure the trolls are just there trying to get attention. So one,
Yeah.
I would give them a heart because they're showing interaction, and
Yeah.
then ignore them.
Yeah.
But you have to decide again whether they're being over the top or not.
Yeah.
Now Diane had that must be about
That'll
the
be
negative
yeah.
comments.
Yeah, that'll be Noah. I think that's about Noah setting fire to everything.
Oh, the fire. Oh, could be. Yep. Janie loves your accent.
Thank you.
Alan, British accents are the
Yeah,
and they'll be on in September. I have Dan from the World of Mr. Gray and Mark from Dead Cold Paranormal. They're both British.
Very nice.
Dan's from Wales and Mark is from England.
Very nice. Get them to talk to you about York, the city of York, the most haunted city in Europe, apparently. Beautiful place as well.
Alan loves the wave print on your wall.
Yeah, it's we were talking about that earlier. It's actually a tapestry because it's cheaper. I've had that for years. It's just gets dragged around everywhere I go. I've got more tapestries downstairs that I've just bought because it's been Amazon Prime Day and I have no impulse control, unfortunately.
But they're a gorgeous way to decorate. I need to, because I've got this is supposed to glow in the dark star map, but it doesn't glow very well and it's not very big. So I need to find something else. Well, thank you, Ellen. Yeah. I had fun picking out the emojis. Hello, Mrs. Peacock.
Hello, Mrs. Peacock. Fancy meeting you here.
Oh, so funny. And thank you again so much, Alan, for telling me that I can kick up the speed in Libby on audiobooks. because I can't normally do audio. It just reads slow. And I was just today before the live looking at The Wolf Gift by Anne Rice. So you'll have to let me know
I
what
have
that's
not.
like.
I have not read any Anne Rice.
You what?
Yeah, I have this effect when people say they've read or done stuff. Video games is the same. Noah's a bigger video gamer than me, so he's got quite a big community, and he'll be playing a game, and I'll just go, "I've not played X," and everyone will just go, "Hang on a minute." And it's the same with books. I have these weird gaps of popular or sort of iconic books that I've just
Yeah.
never gone near for one reason or another, and everyone just looks at me like I've gone mad. Classics I do struggle with. Hey, Cat. Classics I do struggle with though, because of language differences, bizarrely.
Mm. Now,
So
see, this will definitely age me. Anne Rice, Interview with the Vampire. I bought it when it came out.
I don't even know when it came out. I've not even seen the
That would
film
be
though.
the 1970s, puppy.
Yeah, fair enough.
Before you
You
were a
you don't look
twinkle.
you don't look old enough to be before the 70s. No, I mean I've not seen this. This will set Cat off. I've not seen Interview with the Vampire the film either. Again, it's one of those weird things that I have these weird gaps where I just haven't seen stuff because I go through periods where I just don't engage with any sort of media at all. I'll engage
Mm.
with other stuff. So I end up with the yes, really, Noah. I have these weird gaps where I've seen bits of it, but never the whole thing. So this
Oh my.
argument comes up with Disney quite a lot because I've never seen The Lion King. So there we
Oh,
go. That's the normal
where do
reaction that I
you
get.
live?
I fell away from Disney after I can't remember. I think it was Beauty and the Beast. It was either Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin, and I think it was Beauty and the Beast. I think that was the later one because it was the first one with the CGI, proper full CGI scene with the
Mhm.
ballroom dance. And yeah, I fell off the Disney thing hard about that point. That's when I was falling into books. Bizarrely, that's when I was starting to read because I'd started to read things like your Star Wars Legends, well, what is now Star Wars Legends books,
Mm.
or your Dungeons and Dragons novels as well. Was a big thing for me like around that time. So
Mm.
I just stopped watching and started reading and just missed stuff.
Yeah, I do both because in the evening I have maybe a couple, not quite 3 hours of TV, but I've been really cutting back on that, partly because, well, this is my pile of TBR books, and that's not the cubes I was talking about.
No.
And then my UFO books that I want to get to figuring out for August, but I want to get through some comments. So Diane loves The Wave. Janie has not read Anne Rice either.
Yay,
Yeah,
not just
and I
me.
don't recommend The Witching Hour. If you're going to try Anne Rice, Janie, the vampire books, but The Witching Hour is, oh, cringe. Actually, I'm thinking the book you just had on your channel about those spicy bits. Yeah, that Anne Rice Witching Hour is like spice and a Beyond the Moon. I had a hard time getting through it.
Oh.
Mrs. Peacock, second time reading the Wolf one, so I can finally get to book two. Okay, awesome. And I think my library actually has both of those, yay, as audio. We have Kat in the house. Hey, Kat. I owe you a few comment responses. Little man was hilarious under the blankets. Too funny. I was watching her video and little man was trying to snuggle in the blankets because he needed two layers. And my Xena, my chubby girl, is the same. She needs to be bundled up in a blanket, which is hilarious. I mean, she's got a fur coat, for heaven's sakes. Alan, I adore Anne Rice. Oh, no way. You met
Oh,
Anne
nice.
Rice? Alan, you've had such an interesting life. Truly, that would be amazing. Noah saying hi to Kat. Kat saying hi to Noah. Yay, and rice. Oh, and while I was looking through the audiobooks, they have Blood Canticles. The one Anne Rice book they do not have in hard copy. So my library actually has the whole Vampire Chronicle series, one of them in audio, the rest all in books. I'm like, ah. Okay, I'm
No,
not
don't get
sure.
me started on libraries. Don't get me started on libraries. UK libraries are a disaster. They really are.
You loved The Witching Hour? Oh, Alan.
I can hear the judgment.
Now, I have to say, I did not enjoy The Witching Hour for two reasons. And it wasn't just because things were a little too graphic and I didn't need to know that much information about bedroom scenes. But it was 1,200 pages. There was a lot of repetition about the Mayfair family, and the only actual witches were the first two, Suzanne in Scotland, her daughter Deborah, and the rest of them. That wasn't witchcraft. That was something with Lasher, but it wasn't witchcraft, in my opinion. Like they weren't celebrating the holidays. There were no circles or anything, that kind of stuff that even remotely smacks of pagan worship. But I did like Lasher and learning more about Julian, and I did like Taltos. But you had to get through the witching out. Well, actually, I don't know. You may have actually, I think you might actually get through Lasher because, again, there's the repetition about the Mayfair family. It's good. You've not seen the film. That's one of the things we were talking about.
Jenny, you've known me for like 34 years, all right? You know what I'm like for stuff like this.
I'd say I'm surprised, but I know you. That had to be the Lion King.
Yeah, we've had the Lion King conversation before, Kat and I suspect.
Now, see, I love Ice Age. I've seen Ice Age. I remember the Lion King. Ice Age may have been one of the last ones I saw by them, but it's been.
I watched all the. I've seen the first three. I was going to say all the Ice Ages. There's probably like 30 of them now. I remember seeing the first three at the cinema, but I started. I can't even remember. I just fell off. What you know? What it was when Lord of the Rings came out in like 2001. I just watched that for a year and nothing else. Fellowship of the Reeds. That film.
Lord of the Rings. We do a Lord of the Ring day because we have the trilogy. So you get up, you have breakfast, watch movie one, you have lunch, have a little bit of a break, have dinner, watch movie three. It's like a whole pajama day event. So Mrs. Peacock, cool meeting in Rice. That's to Alan. Crime you haven't seen Lion King. Hi, Constance.
I was talking to someone yesterday about Star Wars, and we were talking about books specifically rather than anything else. But I was saying I'm so far behind on the series. Same with Marvel, actually, at this point. And I love the Star Wars universe. I absolutely love diving into the lore and the ship design and the history and the alternative history as it is now because they split it off when Disney bought it. I am so far behind. I've not watched The Mandalorian yet. I've not watched, I know The Acolyte's the current one, and it's like, I've seen none of this. Because I don't want to give Disney my money as much as anything else.
Well, see, I won't have Disney Plus, and this is just me being picky. But I am a Johnny Depp fan. You don't make a victim of a victim and stand by the abuser and let her make millions doing your other Aquaman movie. So, nope, sorry. No Disney Plus for this chickapoo. Which makes me sad because I wanted to watch Loki. And The Mandalorian fascinates me. And here I am with the year again. I watched Star Wars when it opened in the theater, saw that sucker twice because I was in a small town.
No, I went to watch I went to watch the newer ones, so the prequels and the sequels.
Yeah.
I saw all them at the cinema. That was a mixed bunch. I'm just going to leave it there because there's some controversial things about those, and I do have thoughts. But yeah, expanded universe, as Andrew's just said, I love the original expanded universe and the way they handled the characters there, which I think
Mm,
is why you've got sort of this in the fan base is a really divergent split between like the younger fans and
yeah.
the old fans that were on first time because of the knowledge of legends and then the way they treated some of those characters in the newer movies did not go well, and I can understand why. Also, there's a lot of other mess behind the scenes at Disney as well, and
Mm,
well, whatever Lucasfilm currently is, and can't think of a name, Catherine something, who's in charge of the Disney side of stuff. There's a
mm.
lot of mess there, unfortunately.
George Lucas should never have sold it. And the way that they dealt with Luke in the end after Disney had it was
Yeah. Well, do you know what my big? So I went to see The Last Jedi. I was not sober, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And then I watched it when I was sober, and I hated it more.
oh
But what
no.
made what made it worse is when I watched the last one, because they kind of tried to retcon it a little bit. They did. If
Mm,
they'd have doubled down on it, which is what I would have done, and I think was the original plan, it would have landed better. But
mm,
they didn't. They kind of cheapened it all by trying to be popular again, which I think was a terrible mistake. And I think they know that, to be fair, looking
mm,
at some of the other content that has come out since. But it's a shame in some ways, it really is, because Luke in the expanded canon was a beast. Such a
mm.
fascinating, and was still a broken character at points as well, which is an important sort of trait for him. But yeah, they did him dirty. They really did.
They did. There was so much there. But so yeah, Diane was saying, and she was born in 76. I was born in the 60s. But yes, Anne Rice Interview with the Vampire would be somewhere to start if you're going to read her. And the nice thing with her trilogy as well is Prince Lestat is the last one. You could actually read Lestat as a standalone because she backs up to all the other vampires from before. Wow, Andrew, haven't watched TV since 2016. I'm working my way there. I don't know if I'll get there because personally, I can't be bothered to invest in a character when there's only 8 episodes. And see,
Yeah,
this is again, excuse me, my allergies and that. When I was a kid and watching TV, September was when all the new shows came on and the shows came back, and you had new episodes right up until June. None
yeah,
of this, back and forth, new episodes till June. I grew up in the country. I didn't care reruns were July and August. I wasn't inside anyways. And then all the new shows started again in September. This 8 episodes, and it maybe will come back in a year or 2 years. I have books to read and invest my time in. I don't want to watch a show that's like 8 hours I've invested into.
Now, what's really interesting is it's not the same here. Those like 24, 30 episode runs that are typical
Mm,
US shows, that's not how we ever did it in the UK. Ours tended to be maybe 12 at a
really?
push. Yeah. So you tended to have shorter runs and then a big gap. And then
Huh?
obviously we had the imported stuff from the US
Mm,
growing up, so like Star Trek and whatever else. But yeah, it's always tended to be shorter runs, although they have got shorter. Doctor Who is the current example, which
mm.
I think they've just done the new series, which is on Disney Plus. I paid for it for a month because I wanted to watch it. And yeah, that was only 8 episodes and it needed to be more.
Mm.
So
Well,
it does.
that's it. There's so much they can do with these characters and things, right?
Yeah.
No, and Jenny all need to step up. Well, there you go. No, Noah and Jenny have some work to do, and Park Ven
Okay.
on his getting
I
them
need to point
movies.
out the last film I watched was because of
Oh,
Noah.
was
That
it?
film was Velocipasta. Okay, it is one of the worst films I've ever seen. It's like is it Sci-Fi Channel that make the really corny, rubbish American TV shows, like Sharknado, but worse. It was a religious man who was cursed to turn into a velociraptor and attack a drug cartel. It was weird. That is the last film I've watched. I have felt no need to watch any films since.
Well, I'm being outnumbered here. Mrs. Peacock, I enjoyed the Witching Hour series, and I just skipped down. We'll get to Alan's Rowan. Rowan drove me crazy. She's the reason I dislike the book. But we'll get to that in a minute. So, see, and this is why I haven't done on the Anne Rice Witching Hour series, because I did buy all three a few years ago. I'd read The Witching Hour years ago, reread it a few years ago when I decided, because I'd gone away from fiction for the longest time, started getting back, read The Witching Hour again and went, oh yeah, this is why I didn't read the other two books. But I'd bought the set of three for a good deal at Amazon. So like I say, I enjoyed Lasher and Taltos, but that first book just did me in. But obviously, I'm in the minority here.
I can't say anything. I've read none of them.
Noah says they keep trying to get you to watch movies. You won't do it.
I will watch movies if it's something I want to watch.
And there's that too. Cat Vampires way better than Witching Hour. I agree. I did enjoy the Vampire series much more. And actually, Lestat, who I wasn't too crazy about in the beginning, he's just a little, what would you say, prat? He's a little stinker. And by the end, he's maturing and becoming likable. Though the middle of the series was a little off the rails and spicy too, and I'm just looking, because here's another. I still haven't read Blood and Gold, so I don't know which version I have yet, Kat. The off the rails, too much spice, or the tamed down version. Alan, Rowan, no, boo.
Just say bye to Alan because he's shot off. So see you later, Alan.
Oh goodness!
I've just realised if I press the comments button, I can see the comments.
See, I know we've got people commenting. It's lovely. We have Mrs. Peacock, never too spicy, but I get what you guys are saying.
I have
maybe I'll try vampire books.
Spicy books, right? Me and Noah in September, we're doing a September Spice month. Well, spice and romance, because it's the only way I could get him to read Twilight as penance for everything.
Oh, Twilight.
Yeah. He said he'd never read. He said he'd never read it, and this to me was a challenge. I won.
You need to watch. If you're going to make him read that, you need to watch a movie he recommends.
I've read books that he's recommended. This is why he's got to read Twilight.
Oh, Ven.
Well, I'm reading the Midnight Sun version, which is the one from Edward's point of view, which I realized today while I was recording my haul video for next week that it's 600 and something pages. Which is a lot of skim reading, that one. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of skim reading.
I'm sorry, I don't do sparkly vampires. Ain't vampires.
No.
So, Janie, they are not foo-foo vampires in Anne Rice. They like rip throats out and they kill people and they're wandering around the dark. Which, by the way, fun fact, and I was so upset that my husband figured it out and I didn't. Did you know that Dracula could walk in the daytime?
I did not. I've never read Dracula.
Oh my God. What are you doing on my channel?
Okay, so here we go. I feel like I need to preface this. I We didn't cover classics really in school, other than Mice and Men, which I despise to this day because of school. I will never read it ever again.
I just read that this year for banned books. Never read it
No,
before.
I hate it. And they made us watch the film as well, and I hated it,
Oh,
despised it.
no doubt.
So that put me off a lot of books. And historically, I have read fantasy more than anything else, but I've never gone back to the classics. And when I go back to classics now, because I tend to read the unabridged versions,
Mm,
because of the way language has changed and the way that I read, because I'm strange, I kind of skim read
mm,
ahead, and then I tend to be reading two different points of the page at the same time. So I'm
mm.
running ahead and then filling in the gaps behind me.
Yep,
And when the language change is so different, which it is with a lot of classics, my
yep,
brain can't comprehend, and it
mm,
makes my reading flow stutter.
yep,
And when I lose my flow, that's it, I lose interest. I have enjoyed them when I've listened to audiobooks. So
mm.
Camilla was a great example of that, which I listened to last year, which I really, really enjoyed.
I
Um,
did too. Kat doesn't like that one though, but I loved Carmilla.
no, I thought it was. I think it was incredibly clever for the time it was written, for what it was showing.
Exactly.
Very, very clever book. But I think for me, that's kind of where I'm going to be when I'm hitting classics now, because I
Mm.
read Fahrenheit 451
Haven't
earlier
read
this
that
year.
yet on my list.
Yeah, and I didn't like it because of the writing.
Mm.
Whereas I listened to 1981. 1981?
84.
No, 84, sorry, 1981.
I knew
And
what
I,
you meant, George
yeah,
Orwell.
and I really, really enjoyed that because of the narration, because it sort of smoothed out those bumps for me.
Mm. Yeah.
So I think because I've got The Handmaid's Tale coming up, which I am not going to read, I'm going to audiobook that as well, I suspect.
I
And
did a
loads of,
buddy read with Book Blather and Revenant Reads for that. It was
very
awesome
nice.
because I enjoyed reading it with two guys and getting their perspective
Yeah,
because of everything that's going on. And I'd read it as a teenager. And so this was a reread. Actually, it's funny for the banned books, the majority of them are rereads for me. The
yeah.
only new to me read were the two that I read from The Golden Compass, the Dark Trilogy.
Also
I
not
read
read
The
them.
Golden Compass and The Amber Spyglass. I didn't read the one in the middle because my library didn't have it. So,
Subtle Knife, is it the middle one,
yeah,
if
I
memory
think
serves?
so.
I've not read them either. I have got them somewhere. They are somewhere in my house.
I
But
did just read them.
yeah, I've not got to them. But I didn't read like Lord of the Rings. I read quite late, bizarrely. Even though I didn't read them until after I'd watched the films.
Oh, see, I read them
Um,
when I was young,
yeah,
and now I need to go back and read them again
yeah.
because I was on a live somewhere and they were saying they didn't like the movies because they were so different from the books. But because it had been almost 30 years since I read the books, I'd forgotten. I enjoyed the movies, but
Well,
we'll have to see when I read the books if
I I remember that the thing is, and I think this sometimes gets lost a little bit when you're translating a book into a film or a TV show. It's such a
mm,
different medium that you have. If the worst
yeah,
adaptations are like for like, they always are because it just doesn't work. The pacing's off because of the way the world building's got to work.
yeah.
But bizarrely, I read most of the Wheel of Time series, which is just a monster of a series. Um,
Still have to read the
yes,
last one, but I
yeah,
read all
mine's
the others in 2022.
yeah, you can't see them from here, but the entire bottom shelf behind the sort of stood up books,
Mm,
that is my Wheel of Time shelf, like the whole shelf. Because I managed to fall into it late enough that I managed to get some of the last books actually in the hardback, which you could
mm.
beat someone to death with because they're just so chonky. But I think actually I finished the series and then read Lord of the Rings, which is just insane when you think about it because of how
Mm.
big that series is. But Noah's not read Lord of the Rings. He's been calling me out, so I'm going to call him out now. He has not read Lord of the Rings. I don't think he's read The Hobbit either. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
The Hobbit I enjoyed too. And see, this is where I regret having unhauled some of my books because I used to have an illustrated version of The Hobbit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, someone's enjoying it somewhere because several years ago I unhauled pretty much all my fiction books
Yeah.
because I didn't really reread them, and it never occurred to me I'd be doing a YouTube channel about this stuff. So yeah, I unhauled them. The only one, well, there's a couple, but one I definitely didn't unhaul was Dracula because I've had that since I was a teenager. I paid $1.75 for that brand new.
Wouldn't it be
But
nice if they
yes,
were
going
still
back,
that cheap?
yeah, but going to that point, so yes, Dracula was, I guess, what they call daywalkers, but this whole vampires only at night was a Hollywood thing.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Because if you remember, Carmilla was out in the daytime.
Yeah,
She just happened to get up late and she didn't eat, but she was out in the sun. Dracula was out in the daytime. He just wasn't as powerful
yeah.
as he was at night. And when Hollywood started making the movies, so with Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee, and they all got this only at nighttime thing, and then the authors caught on to that, and then suddenly you have all these vampires at night.
I hadn't picked up on that.
I
Hmm.
can't remember. There was something I was watching, and they're like Dracula, and I just reread the book a couple years ago, and it must have been a YouTube video. And my husband and I were talking, and he's a reader, just not what I read. He likes mystery, spy stuff, true crime, and I read all the other out of the box, out there kind of stuff, and spiritual beliefs and paths and whatnot. But so I said to him, yeah, someone said that Dracula could walk in the day. And he's like, well, yeah, he did. And I'm like, no, he didn't. I just read the book. And he's like, yes, he did. So I had to go back, and sure enough, I found it.
It's
And
kind of that Mandela effect, isn't it?
he did.
You
Ah,
just everyone just misremembers it.
yeah. Well, and because even in the movies, right, it doesn't really, except for the one I think with Gary Oldman.
Hmm.
But yeah, so catch up here. So Ginger saying it was cool that Alan had met Anne Rice, wants to go to New Orleans. That's awesome. So Diane as well. Still
Oh, I know
trying to
that.
finish the vampire series. Reread Interview for the third time. Yeah, I just read Interview, I think it was 2 years ago, because I thought I would start at the beginning and then see what my library had, because I bought Interview again. And then I don't think I've read Prince Lestat yet. Oh, I know how I started. I read Merrick, which tied in with which is why I ended up getting the Mayfair the Witching Hour, because those two series cross over. The Mayfair Witches tie into the Vampire Chronicles as well. Oh, Constance got to see Anne Rice at a reading in Austin. Wow.
Nice.
Amazing. Oh, she likes throwing too. There must be something wrong with me. It's there's something wrong with me. David, the paranormal expert. Yes. Now that's Talamasca, the secret society in this vampire series. I like David. I like Aaron. And I like the character of Michael. Rowan, I think she freaked me out because she's very science oriented, and the lengths that she went to figure things out just creeped me out.
Oh,
And
a bit
that's
of the
all I'm going to say because you
ends
know it
justified the means scientist. Yeah, always a great sort of character, that one.
better. Oh, Ice Age's DreamWorks. My bad. Five, like 5 out of 6. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
yeah, they just keep making them.
Love the movies, but they make her sleepy. That may have been Lord of the Rings, or when we were talking about Disney. And your two friends, Nola, haven't been there. Okay, New Orleans.
It's a city I'd love to go to. That actually, if I ever go back to the US.
See, I don't travel. I travel via YouTube and talking to people.
Yeah, that's
That
what
way,
I
there's
do.
no airports or sitting. Ice Age movies were funny. Still more recent than me. Never been. Ooh, Halloween bucket list. See, if I could travel somewhere on Halloween, it would be Salem.
That'd be nice.
I'd have to go to Salem.
I got to when I was in. Was it the last time I was in America? It will be. So I got to go to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios last time I was in America, which would have been
Mm,
2000, which would have been 20 years ago actually. Now, because my eldest was 4 at the time, and he's
wow.
20 now. So he went to the Disney Halloween parade with my dad, and me and my wife at the time went to Halloween Horror Nights, and that was an experience. Like
Mm.
I have that. I think that's the first time I came across American style security, and that's
Ah.
terrifying. Like in the UK, we just look at you, go, yeah, just go in, it's fine. What's the worst that'll happen? Whereas it's like, you will stop. It's like, nope, scary. But that was a good night. A lot of waiting to get on stuff though because of how busy it was, which is a shame.
Yeah, no doubt. So Mrs. Peacock has Disney Plus. See, and well, okay, it isn't just the Johnny Depp issue that I have. I just refuse to be nickeled and dimed to have 10 different streaming services to watch one or
Yeah,
two shows on each. Like that's why we got rid of cable about
yeah,
15 years ago, because if you wanted to watch sci-fi and history and this and that, you needed 3 or 4 different packages. Like it
yeah.
was just
Well,
nuts.
that's the thing. It feels like it's not learnt the errors of cable, doesn't it? The streaming
Mm.
services, and there seems to be more and more because I know Paramount's got one, Warner Brothers had their own, although I believe that's begun to shutter now. You've got this man. I will never have more than one active at a time. In fact, I'm not other than Amazon Prime, which I have on all the time because I use Kindle Unlimited and the next day delivery and so on and
Mm.
so forth. So you get better value for money. Although I hate Amazon as a company, for various reasons, but they do so many things that it's a value for money thing.
And
I
that's
might
it.
occasionally, I mean, if Jenny's still in the chat, because I need to provoke her, I need to watch Loki because Loki is the best Marvel character by a long way.
Mm.
She hates Loki with a passion. So well, that'll
Oh,
get me off
really?
my way. Yeah, really
Oh,
doesn't like
see, I liked Loki. It pissed me off that they did him in one of the movies.
yeah, yeah, just a little bit. I still need to watch season 2 of Loki actually. But yeah, I've not other than Amazon, I've only paid for a subscription service once in the last 18 months because I just don't
Mm.
watch anymore. The stuff I want to watch, like the Sandman series that's on Netflix, the Neil Gaiman series, that looks amazing. Just
Mm.
don't want to give anyone my money. I don't have enough of it. I can buy books with that.
See, and that's what I do too. And now that I'm watching, because our TV now doesn't go on until maybe after 6 o'clock at night, and it's off about 8:30. So it's not really any point getting all this tons of streaming stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have Andrew saying, I enjoy the Star Wars expanded universe. Can't get into Disney Star Wars. I've tried. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while since I've checked some of those out, but I'm definitely team George Lucas
Yeah.
original
I do want to
Star
go back
Wars.
and I want to read some of the newer books because I know the guy who wrote the first Thrawn trilogy of books in
Mm,
Legends, Timothy Zahn, if I remember correctly, wrote a new trilogy of Thrawn books for the new continuity, which I do have on my Kindle, which I
mm.
do need to get to at some point. I keep saying I'm going to read it around May the 4th for Star Wars Day and then
Yeah.
get distracted by other things. But I do need to get to that.
So Constance has seen it 22 times.
Wow.
Wow. Now that's a fan. I enjoyed Star Wars, but we just saw it the twice. And we do have the DVD set of, is it the 6 now, I think, that I have to eventually watch again. I've tried watching them a few times and I need to get back to, I need to watch them again, but I've been doing the Star Trek thing lately. I
Yeah.
also need to get my Don't Die July video done because I did finish The Amulet
You
and
finished it.
Full Moon over Babylon.
How was the amulet? Because that's the one I was really interested in.
I read them years ago, um, as a teen because I was into Rice, King, McDowell, Kuntz. I enjoyed them back then. I went to rebuy them because there were other books I had unhauled and found out that for a while McDowell wasn't, he was out of print and my library didn't have copies. My husband found the two of them on Amazon, so Scoop got both of those. The Amulet is amazing. And I'll just give you a little snippet because I have the video coming up, but he doesn't tell you what this thing actually is. All we know is there was an accident. This nasty mother in law's son gets his face messed up because he'd been drafted into the army. She blames the munitions factory where her daughter in law works. Son comes home because, of course, he doesn't end up going to the Vietnam War because he can't. And the mother in law gives this amulet to the person who didn't hire her son, which is why she blames him that the son got drafted. And the body count goes up to 16 people until this gets to the munitions factory, and the body count goes way higher, and you don't see the ending coming. Uh-oh, your volume. There's, oh no! Are you back?
I've hit the mute button. That's what I've done.
Hey!
Guys, there's a mute button on the thing.
I'm like, why is he so squeaky? What is that?
Oh, I'm doing a Noah. Okay, so there's a mute button on there. That's good to know. So that sounds. I read it's an old horror story now. It's a short story called The Monkey's Paw
Love
by
it.
E. Henry. Yeah, and it sounds like it's got some elements of that. And I did. That's one of the short stories I did a reading of earlier this year. Actually, I think that was in February. Absolutely loved it because it's one you can get for free now as well because it's public domain now.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just going to go grab a book from over there because you're doing the Star Trek thing. So I'll let you just shoot through comments for a second.
I will. Some of these are to you, laughing about your sober Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't watch Star Wars sober very often. Oh, right, where's that
Yeah,
book?
meaner when not sober too. Haven't gotten too much into the new Star Wars.
Ah.
They had adorable creatures, but that's about it. Disney made Han Solo a deadbeat dad. Yep. Can't
Yeah,
be doing that. Lestat the rock star. Exactly. Now, here's a fun fact, which I didn't know until recently. So, Lord of the Rings, Strider was Viggo Mortensen. Is that right?
yeah.
Did I say his name right?
Yeah.
Fun fact, he was not the first pick. It was actually, and I don't know if you said Alan has left us, but the first pick was the actor who played Lestat in Queen of the Damned. And I can see him and I can't think of him now. But he was actually the first one they picked to play Strider, not Vigo, which was quite bizarre. She did Pandora dirty when going back to the vampire series. Started off badass, brainless, and weak. And see, if I remember right, in the movie Queen of the Damned, they killed off Pandora. Like they really messed things up when they made that movie compared to where the books went. Because then how do you go on with the movies when you've killed off the main vampires? You know? Halloween, New Orleans, awesome. Thanks for the tip on Lestat. Plan to go every time I think. Some disasters, savings, fingers crossed. There we go. We got to win that lotto, Kat.
In fact, that reminds me, Kat, did you figure out what? Because Kat was having a leak as well,
Uh-oh.
which it looked like it was going to be AC when she had to disappear yesterday. Did you get that sorted? And please tell me it was a cheap fix, whatever it was,
Oh,
as well.
let's hope
Just while that's
so.
in my head.
So Noah, something was funny. Well, my story's coming in. Oh, that's why. General Hospital. That's hilarious. I used to watch the soaps and I forgot Alan does watch them. I couldn't even tell you the characters anymore.
I've not watched UK soaps for years. They are terrible. They really are. UK soaps are not good.
Velociraptor sounds. I think that's when you're
Yeah, I wasn't sober when I watched that, Cat. I was 3 seats to the wind.
all right. So Alan's off enjoying whoever's on General Hospital these days. Everyone's saying bye. If it was between adults, Marius and young Armand. Oh, yeah, that's Vampire Chronicles. Penance for Twilight.
Twilight is the penance.
Sounds like the right. Yes, they are the right kind. They're not the twinkly things, Noah. Be warned.
I'm just glad I've got him to read it. I didn't think I'd manage it. This felt like an impossible task.
The only reason I ended up reading it is I was working in the high schools at the time and all the kids were reading it. So I wanted to know. And then it became a huge debate because I was in a resource room. I'd also read, if you like vampires, House of Night. There's 13 books in the series, but they're not like more than 200 pages. So it's a great vampire series. And again, they don't sparkle. And they have to go to, it's basically the vampires of Hogwarts. So you had Harry and witches at Hogwarts. House of Night is vampires at a private school as well, and shenanigans, all kinds of things.
Cool. I
But
like
when
vampires.
after I read Twilight, we would get into these big debates about vampires don't twinkle. And so we had the Twilight people and the other vampire people, and we'd get into these huge discussions.
Yeah, it's my ex-wife bought the entire series of books, and she bought. There's a few books that she tried to get me to read, and in fact, she still is to this day. Obviously, divorced now, but Twilight was one. 50 Shades of Grey was another.
I just gave that book away. I bought it for
Oh.
$1 at the thrift store because it's a banned book.
Yeah.
I debated about reading it. I picked it up 3 times. A friend was over for tea the other day. I'm like, hey, are you interested? And she's like, I've been thinking about it. And I'm like, it's yours.
No, she's there. It's like, just read a page. You'll love it after a page. I read the page. Don't put that near me again. We were divorced a year later. I'm blaming the book. No, it's not. But it was terrible. And at the moment, she's trying to. And this is Kat's favorite author. This one. She's going to go mental. Richard Lehman, the horror author, who Kat has done a very calm and collected video on not that long ago. Not ranty at all. And I was speaking to my ex-wife yesterday. She said, "No, you'll really like it." It's like, will I though? You don't have the best track record of saying read this book, shall we say?
No, I don't know. Kat and I are going to have to chat at some point here. Too dry. Kat, come on. You didn't like Carmilla and you don't like Dracula.
She does like
Girl,
a spicy, don't
we
she?
got to be
Does Cat.
having some chats here on your book choices and vampires. Tried reading Lord of the Rings. Oh, no. And not Lord of the Rings either. Incredibly slow, series better, easier.
I have
All right,
not
I'll
watched.
give you that.
I've not
Lord of
watched
the
the Lord of
Rings.
the Rings series.
Well, see,
Actually,
that's an acquired taste with reading the books. And I mean, come
yeah,
on, Dracula's like not even
yeah,
200 some pages.
yeah.
Isn't the
No, Dracula is not the OG vampire. That is true. I didn't actually know that until I read Camilla. Actually, I didn't realize Camilla was
That's
older.
right. And I
So
didn't until I was reading The Idiot's Guide for Vampires and another book because I'm planning to do a video on Vlad Tepes, the actual count that this was based on. And yeah, in there they were talking about Carmilla, and I actually have. I need to read it in one of my horror books. It's called The Vampire. Now, who did that? Byron started it the weekend Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, but he didn't finish it. And then I think it's John Palladori. I could have that name wrong, who actually finished it. And those were both pre Dracula. So, yeah, oddly enough, he wasn't the first one.
there's
Diane,
a lot of folklore, isn't there? A lot of vampire and vampire-like things. It's fascinating to dig into
mm-hmm.
it.
Diane enjoyed The Handmaid's Tale. See, I didn't see the movies or the series. I didn't see the movie or the series. Followed it when it came out, and I've heard about the Testaments, and I'm not sure if I'm doing a buddy read with someone about that. If someone wants to buddy read that, let me know. I've learned how to use Voxer for that. I've tried Discord. Discord hates me.
I had never heard of Voxer until because it's not really a thing here. It is in the UK, but it's not really something that anyone uses here.
Mm,
Until it was in, we were meant to be doing a buddy read, me, Alan, and MJ of Fourth Wing, and it kind of it fell apart for various different reasons.
mm.
But they said, "Oh, hit me up on Voxer." Like, what's Voxer? What is this? I don't know what this is. And I had to go hunting, and like my kids, well, my eldest knew what it was, but it's like I'd never heard of it, and nobody that I spoke to had ever heard of it. Like on this side, it was a very new thing to us. So whereas Discord is everywhere for us over here. So
And I had no idea what Voxer was. Dave's like, "Do you want to do a buddy read?" I'm like, "Sure." Do we email? What do you do? And he's like, "Oh, you use Voxer." I'm like, "What is Voxer?"
yeah,
So I had to learn all of that. I did try Discord a while back, and thank goodness I was still logged in on one device because I'm a nerd, so I have several.
yeah.
And I was trying to log in on my laptop, and it kept saying, "Well, no, you have to do this and we'll send you the email." Well, every time the frickin' email came, it had timed out.
Oh,
So
great.
I couldn't log back in. So I'm finally just like, you know what? Thank goodness I didn't log out on the other device. And I just, that was the end of my Discord adventures. So Kat's telling Noah, not even the Hobbit,
You see, if you hadn't read am I saying this right? The Silmarillion, which
which
I
I
have
have.
read.
I think you are
Um,
saying right.
yeah, which I don't know where that. I think I've lent that out to someone. I think they've nicked it off me. But that's a good book.
It was a good book, and it really lays the groundwork. Now, Kat's asking who the original vamp is. It may be Carmilla. I need. Oh, where do I have? I'll have to look that up and get back to you. It's either Carmilla or The Vampire by Polidori. I can't remember. I don't think it was Varney though.
So
Janie's read Dracula twice. Oh,
okay,
Noah's saying it's Carmilla.
it's not Camilla. So in terms of vampire, because I've got Google open, the first
Awesome.
mention of vampires in English literature is in Robert Sotheby's monumental epic poem Thalaba the Destroyer in 1801, although it is only as a marginal appearance, not as a central thing.
Wow.
But you can find examples predating that. So there
Hmm.
we go.
Fun facts. The cat saying, Salem was the original plan. Book, I imagine that place is probably packed.
We have where I live, not too far away, you have Pendle Hill,
Oh, yeah.
which is where one of the places where we had our version of the Salem witch trials. And it's basically just this hill. It's very much the archetype of people would meet and dance under the moonlight with the in the forest. It's very much that sort of thing. It's a grim place. Like, I have been there years ago. Apparently, one of my ancestors, I don't know the name off the top of my head, I got told this, was the last person to be executed for witchcraft in the Pendle witch trials. There we go.
Oh, my.
So
That's
yeah,
sad.
it is, because they were probably just a nice healer person, as was often the way.
And isn't that the bugger of it? Because they were the healers, or somebody had a beef, and all you had to do was make an accusation, and it
Yeah.
was bad, bad times.
And it's going back that way.
Oh, let's hope not.
No.
Now, I'm not sure which character Jenny hates.
That'll be Loki.
Oh, that's right. You did say she would.
I'd get a reaction for that one. I need to find another one, to be fair. I will find another one.
Sandman was amazing. Cat saying Loki's fun, but Thor was more. Oh no, Cat! Come on,
someone get the spray bottle quickly.
See, and I guess I like dark hair because Loki's the eye candy. Not so much the Thor. No, oh my gosh. See, Chipmunk. That's when you were on the mute. Goodness.
Yeah,
all
I broke
squeaky.
things. I've had a day of breaking.
Help it. I actually have the Chipmunks movie, and I love it. The character, Dave, I used to watch My Name is Earl.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a different, I mean, as Earl, he's this redneck hick, and he's just so different in the Chipmunks, and he's such an amazing actor. So much fun. That was so funny.
Chipmunks keeps coming up in live streams, bizarrely, that I've been in recently, because we were talking about Chipmunks and Chippendale Rescue Rangers in someone's chat the other day, and that's wandered through several different chats now. So
it keeps coming up, and we'll see. And it was funny with your voice, Jenny saying hilarious, Diane hilarious. Now, the funny thing, just before I get to Cat's statement, because people didn't see this part as we were chatting before, suddenly we're about to come on and start the live, and Ven disappeared.
Yep, I was pressing all the buttons, pressing everything.
And what thankfully,
yeah, I found my way back. What it is because my setup has changed like
Stuart
20 minutes before I came on, because I've been building things and everything's just not where I'm used to. So I'm just knocking everything.
So it's awesome. So far, you've been almost the invisible guest.
I'm invisible in chat. In Kat's chat, every time when she does a live streams, I disappear as a viewer. I become a ghost, even though I'm still there. It's become a running joke at this point.
Hey, I got to be the ghost last live stream at Cats.
You did.
I had to fill in for you because you weren't there. We needed a ghost.
Yes.
Cat, thankfully, Stuart Townsend was the name. He wanted to be Legolas instead of Strider Aragorn. Well, he ended up being nothing. Thankfully, there we go. This must be about, they messed up when hooking up the AC, so they had to fix it for free. Free's always good in the budget.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 hours cleaning the water.
Oof.
Jack's angry, no doubt.
At
Aw,
least it's
poor
fixed
Jack.
though, and didn't cost you anything other than time.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Well, hopefully Jack's going to be okay. See, we both had water issues this week. My goodness. Fires, floods. I tell you, the book of signs, man, it says
yeah.
there's 33 guaranteed signs.
I am so happy I checked all my not extinguishers, alarms this week, because we have 2 floods and 1 fire and it needs to balance somewhere.
Oh, no.
So
And Janie used to watch General Hospital. Oh, yes, Luke and Laura days. That's when I watched it. Diane watched Days of Our Lives. Jensen Ackles from Supernatural. That's where he started before he did Dark Angel and got to Dean Winchester.
he was in Smallville as well, wasn't he, for a little bit?
Yes, he was.
So
And the jerk on Dawson's Creek.
yes, Dawson's Creek did not get huge over here, but Smallville was popular.
Ah, there we go. Adding House of Night to my growing wish list. You're welcome, because
Yeah,
there's a
I've written
few
that one
books.
down. That's written down on
Yeah,
my thing.
it's a good one. And here's what makes me laugh. And again, me with that witching hour thing. You'll learn more in the House of Night about pagans than you'll learn about witches in the witching hour or anything written by J.K. Rowling's.
I
Boom.
can believe that. I can,
It's
especially that
so
second
funny.
bit. I can absolutely believe that. Someone who I watch, who's on BookTube, called Witchy Reads, ironically enough, she occasionally does them because she is pagan, and she'll
Yep,
occasionally do informative videos about some of the holidays and festivals and the religious significance and stuff, and
yep.
takes you through it all. It's really fascinating to watch. Really
Nice.
interesting.
Yeah, see, I enjoy it, and I have a ton of books on it. I first found out about Starhawk when I was doing a religious studies course in university, and she's huge into the earth and permaculture and lots of, I mean, there's a lot of fascinating things, and it's some of the best books to find out about gardening, aromatherapy, energy work, that type of thing.
Well, it's amazing how much we've pinched for other religions. That's all I'm going to say. So we've had that chat about religion and faith in the past. So I'm not
Well,
going to throw it in here.
and I think people need to find what works for them and
Oh yeah,
open communication between people.
yep.
Um, Janie has also read The Twilight. Oh, she's not read Vampire. Since The Twilight. Janie, Twinkle Vampires.
I have read a lot of vampire stuff, but it's all quite recent. It tends to be a lot of YA, but not Twilight YA, if that makes
Mm,
sense. Um, I think what I'm reading at the moment might end up being a vampire thing. It's not clear. It's called Leech, which is a kind of a dystopian horror. I was reading it yesterday. It's very hard to explain it, but
mm,
I've seen it with having the vampire tag in places. But because you don't even know the name of the main character, and I'm 60% of the way through, still doesn't
mm,
have a name. It's a really weird book where I don't know where it's
mm,
going. It's a horror. It's it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. I'll
hmm.
finish that tomorrow, I think. But yeah, I've seen that it's had the vampire tag on various different sites. I can't see it myself. It feels more like a symbiote, like the Venom symbiote, something like that. It feels like
Hmm.
that to me, or Trill from Star Trek, actually, is probably a better example
Hmm.
of what it feels like. But yeah, I can't remember what the last vampire book was I read, actually. It was probably a romance, so I probably don't want to look.
See, and I'd
So
have to, thank goodness I write the books down. I mean, I use basically Goodreads for tracking
yeah,
my reading and so I can see it in order and that. And then, but I also do it by hand. So I need to double check that. That was the easiest way to do that in mid-year freakout
yeah.
tag. if I didn't have those written out by months, that would have been brutal because I wouldn't have remembered what I read when.
What I would suggest, so there's another site called Storygraph, which is very similar to Goodreads in lots of
Mm.
ways. But what it does is it gives you loads of reading stats, which you can break down by month.
Mm.
And it has like if you do a review, it gives you, it doesn't really care about star reviews that much. You do give it a star rating, but it's more, well, what was the pacing like? Was it focused on, and it gives you like drop down boxes. Was it customer, no, character, plot, or mixed? And was it fast, medium, or slow? And was it this, and this, to generate like a review so people can tell? And then
Mm.
what it does, it comes up with pie charts and stuff. It tells you graphs for how much you read and when you read it, and the mix of books you read.
I'm gonna have to get that
And
name.
so
That name.
that's Storygraph. You can also set up buddy reads and stuff through it as
Hmm.
well. There's a free version and a paid version. I just use the free version. I think the paid version gives you even more stats, and it's actually better at its recommendations as well than Goodreads is. And it lets you do quarter star ratings, which I
Hmm.
like. I don't like the full star ratings for 5 stars. I don't like it at all. It's not detailed enough. But
Yes,
highly recommend checking that.
I don't really do much. I mean, I'll do a rating now and again. I've been meaning to go through and write my summaries and recommendations for books and that groups because I kind of got into that before I'd really gotten into the YouTube more booktube, and because I was trying to reconnect with people. So the groups were nice,
Yeah.
but the threads are a bugger to follow. Like they're just a nightmare because as much as I'm not a fan of Facebook and I left that eons ago, what I did like with Facebook is you would have a post and then all the responses below it.
Yeah.
In Goodreads, you have comment, comment, comment. Like you can't follow the thread because they don't flow. I find that very frustrating.
Yeah. Dan's just mentioned it's a bit further down. You can actually upload your Goodreads so far to it as well. It doesn't
Mm.
always work perfectly. Occasionally it will get the language wrong. So I was looking through mine. It's like, you've read 3 books in German. What? No, I've not. Hang on a minute. It took me ages to figure that one out. But it will carry most of the stuff forward. It'll carry your ratings if you've done ratings as well and your comments.
Mm.
But it's like, I've got it open now. It's like you've got community and you've got a news feed, you've got read-alongs, book clubs, buddy reads. They do giveaways are quite good as well, actually.
Mm. You have to check
Which,
it out.
yeah, because I know a lot of the giveaways on Goodreads, I think they're all US only. It might be US and Canada. I could be wrong on that. They certainly don't do them
Could
for the
even
UK.
just be US because
Yeah,
it's amazing how many companies no longer ship up to Canada.
yeah,
And the number's growing oddly, but
yeah. Whereas on, I've actually won. I can't remember what the name of the book was, but I've actually won like on giveaways on Storygraph as well, and it's not a bad list, and it's a lot more. They have a lot more smaller authors on the giveaways, so closer to
mm,
your indies and stuff, which I think is quite a good thing as well. So
nice.
it's a far more customizable site than Goodreads is. It makes you wonder why Goodreads hasn't just done some of this stuff.
Mm. Yeah,
Well,
definitely have to check it out.
yeah, dominant market position is the answer to that one. But
Hmm.
there we
So
go.
Kat says lemon, and she doesn't look happy.
No, she does not like Richard Lehman at all.
I'm usually dark haired. Sometimes you got to make an exception. That would be a Chris Hemsworth. He's a magic that. He's a magic act. Love to make comments when I have 0 viewers.
Yeah, that's my favorite trick. It's just like, I'm not here, but I'm talking to you.
Now, Carry and Comfort by Dan Simmons makes you believe they're all vampires, but it seemed unclear. Now, Dan Simmons, just a
Is
sec. Hi,
is that
hon.
the author of Hyperion? Is that the same
I'm
one?
not sure, but I'm pretty sure that's who wrote The Terror about the Franklin expedition. And
Okay.
Prime actually did a 10-episode series based on Simmons' book. So I need to look at Carry and Comfort because I enjoyed Simmons' other work.
Well, I know. I presume it's the same person because there's a guy called Dan. Well, I'm saying guy. I'm assuming it's a guy. Might not be. Someone called Dan Simmons who wrote a series called Hyperion, which is a sci-fi series,
Hmm.
and I have seen it recommended everywhere as like a really good starter sci-fi book, which I do need.
Hmm.
Oh, moths, which I do need to get to at some point. Actually,
And that's
it's been on my
called
list for a while.
Hyperion.
Hyperion. In fact, it is. Crafting Bookworm has just said yes, wrote Terra and Hyperion. So
Oh, there we go.
that's a mix of genres.
Yeah, it
Actually,
is.
that's impressive.
Because sci-fi, and then sounds like we have vampires, and then the Franklin expedition. So
Mm,
definitely, yeah, it was Janie who had said that. Yeah, he's written both of them.
yeah. So
Interesting.
definitely one I need to get
Dan,
to at some point.
yep, not as active, but love it too. Okay, so Storygraph, something to check out there about free versions, my price, mine too, Cat. Get everything transferred. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely need to
Yeah. There's
check it
literally, if from what I remember, there is literally a a button. They give you a link. You put your link in there. Give it a couple of hours. Everything's there, including if you've got your dates read in there. It even transfers them over as well.
out.
So
Wow.
the problem is that once you've set it up, then you have to maintain them, but it separately to Goodreads, because if you
Uh
then try and port it over again, it mucks it up horrifically.
yeah.
But it's not a massive because it's only like click, 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 done. So it's not too bad. But because I managed to derail your entire stream because we've not even touched the messages, the questions that you very sensibly prepared. So before we get back to them, Star Trek books. I have one Star Trek book, only one, but it's this one. I have the technical manual for the
Ah,
Enterprise D,
nice.
which this was bought for me years ago. Now I used to have, and Noah's got it now. I was very kind and gave it to him. I used to have a cardboard cutout of Captain Kirk as well. You know, the sort of ones, the standees you get at the cinema during movies. I think it was from
Yeah.
Star Trek 5. I think it was either from 5 or 6. So he's in like the red uniform. And I had that for years. I don't know where my dad nicked it from. Presumably a cinema. But I gave that to Noah quite recently. I hope he didn't set fire to that along with his kitchen.
Oh,
Um, but
Noah.
yeah, every time he came out, it's like, can I have Kirk? It's like, no, you cannot have Kirk. What are you doing? And then eventually it's like, just take him. Stop mithering me. Get out of my house. But
Too funny. Well, see, since we didn't get to any of the questions, now you need to come back some other time.
that's fine by me. I've had a great time.
Now, we could have you today because you're off this week.
Yes.
Now, if we have you back, if we suddenly have become a split personality, when you come back, would a Friday evening be better?
Friday evening works. To be fair, most days do generally work. It's if I'm in the next day because I work early. So,
Yep.
but to be fair, 8 o'clock's fine anyway. I only need 3 hours sleep. So,
No, you need more than that. But
no,
we'll plan ahead because, like I say, we didn't get to the questions about the channel. We've had
no.
a number of people here. This is the most comments
I've,
I've ever
I've,
had in trying to
I've,
keep up. So
I've done what I do best. I caused chaos
that's awesome.
completely and utterly. But it's been a blast, though.
But it was good chaos. So that
It was
was
good chaos.
lovely. And then we have the tech Star Trek. Oh, okay. Now, and I was just thinking too, when, oh, because I have my books to read here. Yes, I do now have all my logbooks, 1 to 10. I
Yeah, you
found
found.
number 9
Yeah, I was
in
so
my
happy that you, because that was
last
the one you were
book.
missing, wasn't it? You were only
It
missing the ones
was.
like
And
that.
see,
That was, yeah, that was that's Providence, isn't it? In its purest form.
it was awesome. And Janie just got back from holidays, so I hope they were wonderful. And she had suggested some ideas of where to find it. And yep, I'd gone to the thrift store and there it was. So that was lovely. I haven't read Shatner's Tech Wars, though. And I think they actually did a TV series about it, but I can't quite remember what that was. Oh, Andrew's got a manual,
Oh, nice.
the technical manual.
I spend so much time watching more than BookTube. Bizarrely, I'll go and I'll find like lore videos on Star Trek in particular, but
Hmm.
Star Wars as well, and I'll just spend hours just watching. I think the last one I watched was on the oh, what's the name of the channel? Can't think of the name of the channel off the top of my head, but they were covering the Deredex Romulan Star Cruiser from the Next Generation, which is, I think, my favorite Star Trek design of all the ships. It's beautiful,
Wow.
and it's just the amount of detail that's in for some of this. The ship design aesthetic is amazing in Star Trek. It really is something special.
Hmm. That would be something. Jenny's saying apparently you enjoy creating chaos.
I do.
And Diane, it's been fun. Chaos gremlins, gonna chaos.
Also, thank you, Kat, because me and Noah had a disagreement earlier because he was
Uh-oh.
stood there going, "No, we're chaos goblins." Like, no, we're chaos gremlins. That's what we have been the whole time, and he was insisting I was wrong. So, thank you for proving me right. This was important to me. So that was when I
We
was
have
throwing
it
off.
settled.
Yeah, that's when I was throwing off his review for Dead Silence, which is going up tomorrow, which is a joint video. I was messing that one up for him. That was fun. So
Well, I need to get my Don't Die July video done. Hopefully that will be up Monday if I get it recorded tomorrow. I don't like recording when my husband's home. It's just weird when he's walking around and I'm talking to the computer and I'm
yeah,
like, what's he doing? Is he listening? And just weird like that. But yeah, so I'll be doing that. And
can't wait.
then
Can't wait for that.
I don't know. I'll have to see. I'm thinking that at some point I'm oh, Janie's gotta go. Take care. Thanks so much for joining us.
I feel that pain trying to catch up with all the videos. I really do.
I need to come up with a better system because I've come across all these amazing channels. I've just found some of them, so there's content to catch up on, plus all the new content coming.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel guilty, and then I'm like, but I only have so many hours, and there's like
Well, that's the
15
thing.
different channels. I want to watch different things.
Yeah, this is. I was talking about this on my reading sprint yesterday. It's like the wider your net goes, the more stuff you've got to watch, and you end up at a point where sometimes what I'll do now, and it sounds awful, but I will have the video on in the background. If it's something that maybe it's a book that it's one that I'll never read, I'm not overly interested in. Quite often, what I'll do is I'll have it on in the background or really, really low to give the
Mm,
view time and everything, and I'll still put a comment in there.
yep.
But it's so hard, especially for people who do like the reading vlogs, which tend to be longer videos. Which they're beautiful videos to watch, but there is so little time with everything else because you got to eat sometimes.
Well, and that's kind of it. And I find, I mean, I'm home all the time, but even for me, because I'm either spending time with my kids or with the weather nice right now, I want to get outside. I really need to get to the jungle. And if Mother Nature would, give us a break and decide, is it going to be freaking humid? Is it going to be freezing? Or can we just have summer so I can get my ass outside and get the yard work done?
Yeah, we've just had rain. Although the last couple of days has been all right, so I'm hoping. Apparently tomorrow is going to be very warm for the UK. I should add that. So hopefully, after I've collected my pet children from the ex-wife, maybe they will help. They won't help me, but maybe I can at least do the back garden because it's not been mowed for like 6-7 weeks.
Oh
And
my.
next door have very annoyingly, they've got bamboo and they've not planted it in pots. And I managed to get rid of most of it at the start of the season. But because I've not been near, I looked outside.
Right.
It's like there's 6-foot bamboo plants in my garden again. I thought
Holy
because
jump.
it just grows so fast and spreads so quickly. It's a
Yep.
nightmare. So I'm
Hey, but you
hoping I
don't
can.
have to cut it.
Well, it's in the lawn. That's the problem. It's actually spreading. It's spread across the lawn and across the. I was pulling them roots up at the start of the year, and the roots were like that thick,
Mm.
and they were like 2 or 3 meters long, and then snapping. And then I was finding another one the same again. It's like no, this is effort. I don't like this. I just want a flat garden or a while, and I've got to keep it. That I'd get shouted at if I didn't maintain it. Unfortunately,
That's the nice thing about owning my property.
Yeah.
So my backyard can go as wild as we want because we have wood fence, so
Yeah.
nobody can see in. So we kind of do our own thing with it. And I, because I'm that snarky little person sometimes, so my front yard is insane wild. Tomorrow, the video will be up of me standing out front, taking a picture, looking at my house. You can't see my house for the trees and the plants. It's like back there somewhere and not miles away. It's just that my trees and plants are full.
Yeah.
So I was out the other day and someone was walking along our street as they do. And I was out kind of puttering a bit and they're like, I really love that natural yard you have. Well, one of the neighbors who hates my natural yard was coming out of their door just as this person was saying it. But I was a good girl and I just said thank you and didn't fall in my driveway laughing my ass going, booyah!
Yeah, no, I would happily let it overgrow and just sort of tidy it up a little bit here and there. But unfortunately, I did agree to keep it under control, which I have not done for 2 years. But yeah, I need to sort that this weekend. But I need to sort it before I go back to work next week.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I will not get done again.
Janie and Diane are commenting as we were about trying to keep up with channels.
Yeah.
Noah, off to bed. Thank you so much for joining.
You have a good 5:30 a.m. start in the morning. I will not be thinking of you.
And Kat loves my jungle.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it and go, that's what I want my garden to be like. I just want to be able to go and sit and no one be able to find me, and I'd be happy.
Yeah, it's lovely. I can't believe how much the trees have grown in, but I do have to, in the back, take out some of those sumacs because it's just too much in the middle of the yard. But I mean, my skunks, my groundhogs, the raccoon, the feral cats, the birds, the bunnies, chipmunk, whoever else is out there, they love it. I had to laugh because it was years ago. Someone was here and we were sitting on the deck and they're like, your yard's not really people friendly. And I'm like,
What?
it's not meant to be, idiot.
No.
It's why you're sitting on the deck and they get the rest of the yard.
Yeah. No, I'm quite. So where I live, where Noah lives as well, actually, we're right on the outskirts of Manchester, which is by UK standards is a big city. You wouldn't know that because it's literally. I was saying this to, I think it might have been Kat recently. It's 10 miles to the town centre of Manchester, which by sort of North American cities, that doesn't sound like a huge distance. But if I go north, south, or west, I'm hitting farmland, like within 5-minute walks of my house. So because we've got the biggest peat moss in the UK where I live. So you've got massive peat moss, which literally just over the tree line from where I am one way, and that goes in all 3 directions. So you
Wow.
have all sorts. So like a couple of months back, I came home from work and I'm walking up, and you know when you just see something and you look and then you look again, it's like because your brain doesn't think. And
Yeah.
there was a falcon in my front yard that had got a pigeon, just sat
Ah.
there quite happily eating the thing while it was still alive. And it's like, I look, it's like, then like, what? I think it was a peregrine falcon, so they were until
Mm.
recently quite endangered here. As I'm there on the phone, so I was like, Noah, there's a falcon with a nearly dead pigeon. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? It's like, well, the pigeon's not going to survive. Like, you could, because, it has a hole in its back where it's
Yeah.
been got. It's like, I'll probably just chase that bird away, which just squawked at me and just went. And I'll just kill the pigeon. He's like, no, don't do that. It's like, yeah, but it has a hole the size of my fist in its back. It ain't making it anywhere. So bless it. He came and took it to the vet, who
Yeah.
then to sleep. It's like I could have dealt with that a lot faster. Awful though it sounds, but it's there like trying to limp around.
Yeah.
But then I go for walks like nearby, and you got like the badgers because it's different ecosystem here. So you got all the squirrels and the badgers,
Yeah.
pheasants. See loads of pheasants and herons because we're near the massive canal. You've got one of the big tributaries for the Mersey nearby as well. So you've got a couple of rivers nearby, the Glaze and the Irwell, which is where the place's name comes from. So I think I put in the Discord the other day, I went for a wander. Normally I walk at night when it's dark because I'm weird. But I actually went during
it's
the
peaceful
day.
and you can see the stars.
No, I mean the thing is I like the dark, which makes me a bit, or most people like, why are you going? Don't go walking there at night. No, it's not dangerous. Behave. But everyone knows me anyway, so it's not really an issue.
Just don't go out on the moors.
I mean, I've been up the moss. That's the thing. I've been up the moss at night. It doesn't bother me. It's where I grew up, so it's just normal to me. But you just see this little badger sort of tottering towards you, and it's like, oh. And I put the pictures in the group. It's like, where's that? It's like, well, that's 4 minutes walk from my house. And then if I walk 10 minutes that way, it's this one. And then you've got the massive ship canal nearby as well. So you've got all the like infrastructure. It's a really strange place where I live. They are cute, Cat. Unfortunately, they're also quite aggressive. First time I've ever seen foxes as well. Loads of foxes where I live, which is a problem for cats. But it used to be a peacock as well, bizarrely. Just randomly, someone had a peacock and it kept getting out. So you used to go to the train station, like the under thing, and there was just a peacock there with all its plumage out, going, "Go away!" Yeah, I think they have llamas now instead, which are not quite as exciting to me. But
So your area is small town in the Midwest.
Yeah, well, that's it. Manchester is technically, I think, the 3rd largest city in the UK.
Is it?
Yeah, but when you get outside of London, which I think London's population is about 20 million or something ridiculous, there's not really anywhere outside the UK that goes over 1 million other than Manchester and Birmingham. And Manchester's a really old squash town centre. It doesn't have UK cities other than Birmingham and London don't have that urban sprawl. So much so quite often you'll have the city over your metropolitan areas separate. That all come under like the same council. So technically I live within a stone's throw of, and by stone's throw I mean 15 miles away from 4 major city centres, 4 of the top like 50 biggest cities in the UK, within 15 miles of where I live. And there's just fields everywhere.
In between. Now, see, and that's interesting. So you said London has 20 million people?
I think so. London is ridiculously. I'll just double check. Oh no, I'm lying. It's 10 million. I think that might be the Greater London area that I'm thinking of for that. But when you consider the population of the UK is about 75 million, 10 million just in that one city is just insane. And then you get everywhere else, and it's just fields, and then you just have someone just dropped a town or a city. Then you have some more fields, someone's dropped another one. It's just, And then you hit the names, which have the like regional dialects and the names, which is actually, if you dig into UK history, is fascinating looking at the naming conventions. You can see where was invaded by who by the place names. It's really interesting to dig through
Yeah,
that.
and the changes. There's a few things because I like the ghost stories and the different castles and things.
Yeah.
So I've read like little bits and excuse me, I probably say this wrong, but I found this on my last
Oh,
history of
I
Wales.
don't know that one. Mabinogion? But no, that's not how you pronounce it. Hang on, I'm trying to think. I've got Welsh relatives, and they
Could
would.
be close because I know it's Welsh and it's part of
The,
the Welsh legends.
the Welsh language is it's just a throat infection. Someone's going to get really upset at me for saying that. I have Welsh
Dan
relatives.
didn't show up today.
Yeah, no. It's, you know what? I love the Welsh accent, but the language just. I
Well, the
tried to learn it
letters
once.
and
Yeah, it's bizarre. But if you're looking into like ghost history for the UK particularly, the city of York um, is reputed to be the most haunted city in Europe. And it's a city that really does have this oldie worldy feel to it as well. It's a beautiful city with a lot of history, which explains why it has so many, but it has so many ghost tours and all sorts as well, because it's just such a deep history. Well worth looking into. Loads of
See,
stories.
I've been to London. Is that, excuse me, when I was 16, we went because my stepmother was from England. So we went, and it was funny. Westminster Abbey almost killed me.
Oh,
We were we were in the area. I wanted to get a picture. Excuse me, clearing my throat. So I was sitting on this curb thing, and the road was down below. And I'm getting my camera, and I'm so focused on getting the picture, I don't realize I'm like leaning back. So thankfully, my step cousin grabbed my ankles, or I would have been
yeah,
road splatter in London.
yeah.
Got an
We don't
amazing picture.
we don't do railings, and we don't do road safety. Two things we don't do. London, bizarrely, I've not been to London much. I need to actually go at some point. But to, I mean, again, there's a scale difference here for like Canada and the US. London is, you go for a few days from where I live, even though it's only maybe 2.5 hours on the train, really.
Mm,
But it's, if you go, you stay for a few days. And I've never actually gone, oh wait, as like a tourist or anything like that.
mm.
Bizarrely, and I really do need to be honest, at some point.
There
I've
were a
worked
lot.
there.
There were a lot of amazing things to see there. Now, most of the time we were in Bexhill on the Sea, so
Yeah.
way down the south end,
Oh
and I
yeah.
got to see the cliffs of Dover, so that was
Oh,
cool.
that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, and then we were just in London for a few days because some of the cousins were up there. So we did the like I say, we walked around and got to see Westminster Abbey, and I think we went to St. Paul's Cathedral, went to Hampton Court. Didn't get to see too much of it because there was construction and renovations, but yeah, it was cool. So I've been to England once,
Yeah.
but it was
No,
awesome.
so
It was
a
memorable.
beautiful city I need to spend more time in. I really do. I need to spend more time in Manchester itself, to be honest, because they're going through its modernization phase right now.
Mm,
So I think right now it has the second most skyscrapers in the UK,
wow.
which isn't many. It's like 4, but
But
it's
still, for
it's fascinating looking at like these big, because obviously it was a cotton town, which I
mm,
know you've got like all the old cotton mills and all the old railway stations. They're all still there. They've just been repurposed now for different things. So like the old railway station is now like a convention center,
oh wow.
which is just ridiculous. But it's fascinating seeing like these new glass pristine buildings going up next to these very old and very grimy but incredibly sturdy brick buildings that have just been there
Mm,
for 2, 3, 400 years in some cases. Hello,
wow.
Jaleesa. You've timed this terribly. But how are you?
Hello,
Um,
Lisa. We'll catch up on so cat badgers, they're cute. I think she
I
wants. Oh, here we go. Yep. She wants to play with all the animals if they didn't try to kill her.
they we don't have dangerous animals in the UK, not really. That's one weird thing. We don't. The UK is amazingly safe. We just like to complain about how dangerous everything is, even though it isn't. So it's
Well,
raining. Oh, the weather's terrible. No, it's just raining. Other places get it worse, but we'll still complain. That's the
well,
British
see,
way.
even though I live in the city, we have coyotes in our area, so I'm amazed the feral cats are doing as well. Because, of course, as more and more of our farmland's being taken over for
Yeah.
subdivisions, because, future humanity is going to eat concrete, not plants.
Mm,
But so as the people are moving out, the animals are moving in.
yeah.
So we've got, the coyotes in the area, like I say, the skunks and raccoons and all kinds of critters. Now, in my yard, they're good. They don't bother me. I don't bother them. I can sit out, read my book, and the skunk can be 2 feet away eating the cat kibbles, and it's all good.
Yeah.
But, and yep, we have spiders
So
and no deadly
we
snakes.
we have, I think, one poisonous spider, which is the black widow, which is not particularly poisonous for most people anyway.
Mm,
And then we've got the oh, we've got literally one poisonous snake, and it's not. I think it's an adder. We have some form of adder, which
mm,
is poisonous at all. That's it. We have the most pathetic bees and wasps. Like, we don't really have that much of an area. We don't have anything. The most dangerous thing we have are our own domesticated animals. It's insane. And horses.
mm.
There's horses everywhere. But I
Wow.
love horses. So
Very nice. Take care, Diane. Thanks for joining us.
see you later.
Been lovely chatting and laughing and learning. Phone needs charging. Cat saying bye to her. And then in developing areas, wild hogs. Oh, that's what possums we have. No armadillos here.
Okay,
Can
so
be an issue.
armadillos came up yesterday in my live stream as well. I was introducing people to UK adverts from the 90s.
Ah.
That was an experience for some people, and it was made me laugh because I'm looking at the comments as I put it on and shared it, and you've got everyone from like that side of the pond going, "What is this?" And then I've got literally all the UK people just going armadillos in the chat because it's just such a cultural sort of memory, and it was a chocolate bar advert of all things.
Ah,
Just
there you go.
very bizarre.
And Kat's asking, are they alive? Seen them on their back on the road, never seen a live one outside. I've never
Oh,
seen, it's one thing I haven't seen. I've seen pictures and videos, but something we
no,
don't have up here.
no, we have nothing. We have so little. We have birds of prey, which we actually now use in town centres to get rid of pigeons, rather than using anything else. We
uh,
actually use hawking for it now,
yeah.
as a more humane way, apparently, of dealing with it.
Well,
But
it's nature's cycle, right?
yeah, and then what else? Do we have anything? We have deer, but they're nothing like what you have anywhere else. They're just like horses with antlers that don't come near you. In fact, there's I don't get them where I am, but like 3 miles across the canal, there's like a big nature park where you have the deer do actually come up to you because they're like used to people at this point.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, we don't even have wolves. The biggest sort of canine we have is a fox. Like,
Yeah, there
there's
wouldn't be
nothing.
any
Yeah,
wolves there. I think they got rid of them,
yeah. We
which
we happen to those, unfortunately.
we
Like
have
the UK
bunnies,
happen to
I
a lot of
know.
things. We do have bunnies. I've not seen. We used to have loads of bunnies near where I live now, and I've not seen any for ages. But we do have a lot of foxes
Mm.
and a lot of cats. So
There you go. So Jaleesa caught must be the armadillo in her childhood home, eating the seeds we were trying to plant. Cat had a baby possum in a planter, played dead when Franny sniffed it and disappeared. So, yep, it was playing possum. Oh, from the
ah,
subdivision.
mm.
Possums, raccoons, apartment dumpsters, hissing scary. They certainly can be. It was only 1 year I remember hearing the raccoons, and that's when we had so many of the kittens before we ended up getting involved with trap, neuter, release. And of course, all these kittens around, the raccoons were around. Thankfully,
Yeah.
they didn't get any of the kittens, but I mean, they had three mums to watch them, but the noise they make is
Yeah.
bizarre.
See, I look at raccoons and they remind me so much of badgers, just smarter.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. I find raccoons incredibly cute, and I know I shouldn't because I've seen the sort of chaos that they cause. But trash
But
pandas.
it's like anything, and the ones that I watch in the yard, and they don't bother the cats. I mean, thankfully, I haven't seen squabbles between any of the things. Um, and the raccoons just kind of, do their thing. They wash their hands in everybody's water bowl, which pisses everybody else off because they're like, we wanted clean water, not your footprints in there. But they do their thing. So now Cat knows that armadillos alive aren't a myth.
Yeah,
Bunnies are magical. Never know. Creepy. We see them in threes. Oh, that's pretty amazing.
that's magpies here that you see in threes all the time. Magpies and yeah, I think the crows. Or I don't know. I get all the corvids mixed up a little bit with like crows, ravens, and things. I can remember which one it is we have. Seen a lot more of them recently, though. Actually,
You have ravens.
I think
We
it's
have
ravens.
crows. You have
Yeah,
ravens
they have a
because
black beak, so I always get. I think crows have a yellow beak, don't they? If I remember
um
correctly, do they?
there might
I
be
don't know.
something different. I think the ravens are bigger, and I only know you have the ravens there because also went to the Tower of London.
Yes.
And they cheated because they clipped the raven's wings.
That
Because the theory or prophecy is if they leave the tower, bad things are coming. So they clip their wings so there's always ravens at the tower.
it's carrion crows that I'm seeing a lot of around here. There we go. I
Yeah.
decided to look it up.
So you have both of them then.
Yeah. I don't think we see ravens this far north, actually. Interestingly, I wonder if that's because the further north you get, the more falcons you get.
Possibly
Bizarrely.
in the hunting
So,
grounds.
yeah, especially like where I am now, it's just like I say, right on the mossland. So you've got so many sort of hawks and falcons up there, which is great
Yes.
to see because I remember the falcon being endangered when I was at school, the peregrine falcon, and I don't
And we
think
have
it
a
is
few
anymore.
here. Yeah, we have a
Yeah,
few here in the city too. And again, they're a protected species
yeah,
because what was it? DDT, the poison they used to do to kill weeds and things,
yeah.
had been damaging them, but they're making a comeback for
Well,
sure.
that's good.
So Kat had a in the attic under the floorboards. Babies were sweet, mama
Oh,
not pleased. Yeah, animals tend to be like that.
yeah,
Oh, here we go. Full on blackbirds, yellow beak. Think they're much smaller than crows, ravens.
yeah. I haven't seen blackbirds around here for years, actually. Thinking about it, that's weird. We get lots of songbirds though. Get house martins, they're cute as well. Still
Oh,
seeing
nice.
robins at this time of year, which is interesting. You don't normally see them this late in the year, but
See, ours stay until usually around September-ish, and then they go, but not always. It depends on the food source. Same with the hawks. We have red tails and a Cooper hawk. Well, probably more than one, but I've only seen two red tails, one Cooper. But even they don't all migrate because if they have a regular food source, they may stay in the
yeah,
colder climate. So some of them migrate, but not all of them.
yeah. And also, it's not well here at least. It's not been as cold in the last few winters, and the summers have not been. Whilst they have been warmer, they've been wetter. So
Yeah, definitely some
some
bizarre
changes.
changes.
Yeah,
Yeah. But hey, we've been at it for over 2 hours. Can you believe it?
we have. It hasn't felt like 2 hours. I've just Ghost chaos. I've just derailed all the plans. But never mind. I will just have to come down. We'll come back and we'll make me stick to the script next time.
Well, we'll see, because I let you just roll. I mean, if I wanted to do the questions that bad, I would have said, Ven, like, hello, I got these 10 questions we got to cover. But we've had lots of fun and veered here and there, and great comments from all our viewers. So that was wonderful.
Also,
Cat sharing.
Thank you to
hang on.
people who subscribed to me as well, because I've picked up a couple of subscribers while I've been on. So I presume that's from here. So thank you.
Good.
Oh.
So we've got a lot of cowbirds and blackbirds. Blackbirds like picking the yard after cutting to get nesting materials. Cardinals every night for dinner. Yeah, we have cardinals as well, and starlings, grackles, sparrows, mourning doves, blue jays.
No,
So you've got a few more subs since the live?
I have some up to 180 now.
Yay!
So I want to hit 200 by the channel birthday in December. I think it is actually the 1st of December, bizarrely. So
well, hopefully before that.
That's my soft target. So we'll see. If not, well, doesn't really matter. But it's an aspiration. So.
Well, hopefully, because I mean, I had been wondering if I was going to make it by September, because I had set a goal of, is this YouTube thing going to go anywhere? What am I doing with my time?
Yeah.
If I don't get to 200 by September, do I need to rethink my life and start doing something else?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, months before that goal, so now I just have to figure things out.
Yeah. Well, that's what August is for me. So I'm having a think in August what I want to do. So I'm still going to be doing stuff during the month, but I'm not going to be doing as much while I figure stuff out. So
yeah, well, hopefully you're staying.
Oh, I'm staying. I'm not planning on going anywhere. If I was to go anywhere, which is a big if, I'd hit an anniversary before I went anyway. So because that's how I like to do things. But I've no intention of going anywhere just yet.
That's good.
So it's still doing a job for me mentally. So
well, see, and it gives me a reason to get out of bed and do something. And I've learned like a ton of things in terms of editing and adding things to videos, which I certainly never expected I'd never learn how to do. But after Video Editor, thankfully, I discovered iMovie. So I got a refurb little Mac Air or whatever they're called. And that made a huge world of difference. So instead of all that pissing around trying to figure out how to wiggle it this way and that way, you just split, delete, split, delete.
Yeah. That's quite similar how mine is, although my video I've just recorded today took a little bit of time. But that's my own fault for buying so many things. So I can't do much about that one. I didn't realize how much I had bought. Kindle is deadly for 99p books. Like,
see, I don't have a Kindle, so I don't know.
Oh, it's I think might be 30 books for the haul. So physical, audio, and Kindle. So my first Stephen King books are in there though, because I've not read Stephen King yet.
Stephen King.
My first Stephen King. So I've gone from never reading Stephen King to I now have 4. Have I got 4?
Which ones?
So I've got it because Kat's reading it at the moment. Noah's reading it at the moment. I got Pet Sematary, partially because, well, that's one that I've always wanted to read, and it was £1 more to get it and Pet Sematary together. So why not? The Eyes of the Dragon, which someone recommended in, I don't know if it was your chat or Kat's chat. It was in one of your live streams.
Must be in Kat's.
Probably Kat's, which is Stephen King fantasy. Which
I haven't read that one.
No, I'd never heard of it, but I'm a fantasy girly. I always have been. So I've got that, and I picked up Fairy Tale on Kindle for 99p. Which Noah was very upset at because he paid full price for it in January.
Ooh, snap.
He was very upset at me because then I went through about 3 other books that I got for 99p that he got in January. So yeah, I got my first Stephen King's. So I'm hoping to start on. I'll probably start on it and try and catch up with Noah and Kat before I go back to work, because I've only got one more review to record this month. Everything else is recorded up to the 1st of August now.
Nice.
I've just got ahead while I've been off. So I've only got to do the one I'm reading now, which is Leech by Hiran Ennis. So that is the last review I've got to do. That was actually voted for people wanted to see the review on that one.
Awesome.
Which is a shame, because I don't know how I'm going to review it, because it's a bizarre thing. But there we go. I like a challenge.
That'll be the review. It's a bizarre thing. Hey, that reminds me, and I'm not sure if, Kat, if you're still here, did you hear back from Randy? Because I know she was saying they were doing the buddy reads, but she hadn't heard from him. And she had emailed him the night that we were doing the live chat with her on Friday. But I don't know if she's heard back or not. Oh, she's still here. Interesting, despite being super slow to start, wouldn't buy it, but not sad. I read it from the library.
Now, I was speaking to Noah about this because Noah has started Fairy Tale and was enjoying it and then stopped reading it, which he does quite often. He says, "Oh, this book's really good. Have you finished it?" "No." "When did you last read it?" 4 months ago. Finish the book. Yeah, well, I was talking to him about the pacing, and he had a different opinion of it, actually, which I find interesting. But I know you read much faster paced books than I generally do. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know when I'm going to read it. It was 99p.
He didn't hit me back. Post a shirt, doing better. I'm going to say short.
Yeah.
Ended up in the hospital. So hopefully he's going to be better soon. Yikes. I know it's been it's been kind of a tough month, both on and off camera, with people suddenly not doing so well. So hopefully he I agree, Kat. Happens to me sometimes too when I'm typing descriptions or a text. Autocorrect suddenly.
Mine doesn't kick in, which means I just send absolute nonsense to people on a regular basis.
Well, don't tell people that. They'll just figure it's autocorrect.
Oh no, they know about it. There are no words in existence that match what I've typed in any language anywhere in the world, and I just get messages back going, "What?" It's like I'm looking, going, "Oh, I've sent it to the wrong person," and it's nonsense. That's always a fun one as well that I've done a few times.
So I always got to be careful before you hit send.
It's fine. I'll deal with the consequences of my actions afterwards. That's the best way to deal with it.
There you go. Well, Ven, this has been an absolute hoot.
It has.
And you're right. Fun. We didn't get to the questions, but that's all good. Just means you're coming back.
Fine by me. It might keep me out of trouble. You never know. There's a chance.
It might.
It might. But thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been
not a problem. This has been totally fun. I've enjoyed everyone who's popped in. I know we've had a few who've had to pop out for soaps and other things, but so to everyone, thank you so much for joining Ven and I. It's been great. Oh, Kat's
we'll have
curious.
The questions when you come on. You can wait.
Kat, you're just going to have to wait and find out until Ven comes back. Or next week, I have Alan and Greg joining me. And we'll see if the questions get answered with them here.
Oh, nice. I fell asleep because you were on theirs the other day.
That was fun.
I dropped in on it, but it was 1 a.m. when it started here for us. So I had it on in the background and then I just fell asleep. And it's like, I woke up the next day, it's like, and then realized my phone had died. It's like, I know I made a comment, and I think I must have fallen asleep just after you mentioned the amulet.
You said hi.
Yeah, I think it was just after you mentioned the amulet. Because I remembered you mentioning "Don't Die," or maybe it was just starting to nod off, and you mentioned "Don't Die." So I went, "Oh yeah," and then just was gone. It's like, no. I managed to stay awake for one and I missed most of it.
Well, and it's much later in the UK too, and they don't start until 8, so
It is. It's 11:30 here. No, it's not. It's 10:30 here now. Not
yeah.
11:30. That's
And see, it's
silly.
just 5:30 here.
Yeah.
I
Tea
still have
time.
my whole evening.
Well, I mean, I won't be going to sleep anytime soon, so it's fine by me. I will go and find something to keep me out. I'll finish my book tonight. There we go.
There you go. Well, and
So,
so Andrew had said it's been fun, and he's traveling. Ginger, it's been Ginger. Yeah, Ginger. Cat, it's been hilarious.
yeah, I am not good at
Abstream.
keeping things in anyone's order, which is weird because I'm a supervisor in my job. Like, I am the organized one at work.
Well, see, so this is why you can have fun when you're not at work. You
Yeah.
got to let that side out.
Yeah, normally I'm telling Noah what to do because he works for me. So
Oh, there we
bless
go.
his
Well,
cotton
see,
sock.
Noah was supposed to email me and he would have been on with you, but I haven't heard from him.
Well, I'm sure Jenny will confirm as his other half that Noah is not good at answering things. So,
Ah,
generally speaking, it takes about 12 messages to get one back. Um, because he's an imbecile and he forgets things. Also, to be fair, he did set fire to his flat, so I'll let
oh,
him have it this
you
time.
gotta let that go. It was
So
wiring.
I've seen the way he has wires coming out of his computer. It was possibly his own wiring that caused it. But
Could
but
be.
I
And
will
so, see, Jenny's
I will
saying he's
poke him over the
rubbish with
weekend.
communication.
He is bad at communicating. Even when you're stood next to him, he's bad at communication, which is ridiculous. But I will poke
Poor
him and
Noah.
remind him. So yeah, when I see him, I think am I gonna see him over the weekend? I don't know. I might see him over the weekend at some point. So I will remind him.
Sounds good.
So
Okay, well, we're going to do the wave goodbye. This has been
have,
fun. Thank you
have a
so
good
much.
evening. Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
So
Thanks for joining us. Glad everyone enjoyed. Thank you so much, Ben.
you're welcome. It's been a
And
joy.
we're
And
here.